What's up guys, V here for another little platinum walkthrough video. This time it's going to be for the latest Artifex Mundi game, which is Queen's Quest 4 Sacred Truce. If you haven't played their games before, they do a lot of hidden object and point and click type games, and this one isn't going to stray very far from that, if at all. Just so you guys are aware, I take no credit for the walkthrough you're about to see in this video. The guide I'm following to create this was written by the lovely The Mind is a City, which if you haven't heard of her before and you enjoy games like this, honestly, what are you doing with your life? You can find links to her work as well as her social media pages in the description down below, so if you found this video helpful, she is the one to thank for it. All in all, Queen's Quest will take you anywhere between about 2 to 4 hours to complete. If you'd like to follow along to the text guide written by The Mind is a City, that is also linked down in the description below. Before we get started, there are 2 trophies we want to be on the lookout for. The first one is Steady Hand and the second one is Speedy Hand. These 2 require you to complete hidden object puzzles without using hints. Because Speedy Hand requires you to do this 3 times, we are going to avoid using the hint button until that trophy unlocks. But as long as you're following along, you'll be able to see where all the items are, so that it'll make it a little easier for you. And of course, after that trophy is unlocked, we can go all willy-nilly with the hint button, so that'll make the rest of the game go by a little quicker. There's not really much else to it, so if you're ready, let's go and get this started. Alright, so go ahead and press X to start. And then I'm just going to show you the little, this is the loading and saving icon, don't turn off the system message that most games usually give you. But once you're on the next menu, go ahead and select New Game, select Main Game, and we're going to play the whole thing on Casual. And then you can skip most of the cutscenes throughout this game. I'm going to go ahead and do so, but if you want to watch them, by all means pause the video at any point, and then you can just continue on once you get to the spot that it picks back up on. And you can skip this tutorial at the very beginning by hitting R3 and then just accepting "Are you sure?" And before we actually do anything, we're going to pick up our first egg, which is going to be on the right hand side, kind of where these dragonflies are buzzing around, so just make sure you pick that up before you do anything. And then pick up the backpack that's in the middle of the rocks. And then with L2 or R2, open up your inventory and then zoom in on the backpack. Interact with the medallion on the outside of the backpack, and then just rummage through it until you get the grappling hook as well as the climbing spikes, and make sure you also interact with the leather notebook inside so we can move forward. And then once you have that, zoom in on the little plank on the top center of the screen with the red ribbon hanging off of it, and then hit square and then use the grappling hook on that little plank thing and then climb up to the top. And then here we're going to climb up the rest of the mountain using our climbing spikes. So down at the bottom, hit square and then use the climbing spikes. And we're just going to make a zigzag pattern going up the rocks. So starting on the left and then over to the right, and then on the left, over to the right, and then back to the left and climb up the top. And we're going to do the same thing here, except it's going to be a lot less zigzaggy. So starting on the left, and then just keep going left and up the mountain. And if you run into this little windstorm, just wait it out. We can't climb while it's going on, so it only takes a few seconds. It's not too bad. So once you can, climb up, and then we're going to head over to the right, keep heading right, and then exit the top right of the mountain. And we're going to do this one more time, so starting on the left, and then the center rocks going up straight in front of you, and then just ignore the bats there, and then just keep going right. Go up and a little to the right, and then we're going to head back left and up to the center. And now we're going to get our first little cutscene with our first hidden object puzzle coming up here. So we're going to do a couple of things beforehand though. First, we're going to pick up our first coin, which is on the back of the carriage over here, on the top back to be more specific. So make sure you pick that up before doing anything. And then pick up the stick that is leaning on the tree over on the right hand side. And you want to zoom in on the top back of the carriage. Make sure it's the the top so you can see inside the carriage itself. And then hit square to use the long stick. And that's going to give us the muzzle. And then once you're outside, interact with the wheel that is kind of crashed into the rock over here. And just to the left of the wheel is going to be a toolbox, so open that up and rummage through it until you get this little yellow buckle. And then exit out of this screen and interact with the man trying to hold on to that reindeer. And you can skip all of his dialogue here, so once you can, hit square to interact with the reindeer and choose the buckle first. And then interact with it again and choose the muzzle.
Thank you, kind.
And then just exhaust the dialogue. And he's going to give you a key that's going to open up the back of the carriage. So exit out of this screen. And then interact with the lower back part of the carriage where this red V is. Just go ahead and zoom in on that. And then use the key on this little imprint. And then interact with both the left and the right side to make sure it is aligned with the imprint itself. So that will open up the back of the carriage, so walk up to it. And then just interact with the door to open it up. And this is going to be the first hidden object puzzle that we are going to do. Okay, and as you can see, there are a lot of items in front of you and an item list down below. Just to let you know what these colors mean really quick, if the word is in blue, it means you have to do something extra to get to the piece, be it move something or interact with something else to get to it. It's not going to be straightforward. And then the white words are straightforward. They're in plain sight. Don't have to do anything extra to get them. And as you can see, leather bag is alternating between white and blue. That means it is a morphing item. So if you go up just to the right of where these scales on the top right shelf are, you'll see that there is an item that is morphing between a lock and a leather bag, and you need to interact with it when it is the leather bag to get that item. So let it go back one more time. Okay, so now we're going to start cranking these out. I'm going to get the chest piece last, the second chest piece, because it's a little buggy. It's actually this one on the bottom right shelf, but if you try to interact with it now, it might tell you that it's invalid and you can't get it. So we're going to save that one for last. So on the very top right is going to be the paintbrush. So go ahead and interact with that to get that. And then on the lower right is going to be this bag of feathers. Interact with the feathers to push them out of the way and pick up the scroll that's underneath. And just interact with that, and that's going to be the Truce replica. And then just go over a tad to the left and interact with the lettuce head. And underneath that is going to be the hourglass. So pick that up. This might not be on your list. As you can see, it's not on mine, so it's not letting me get it. But if it is on your list, this is where you find it. And then just move the paper to the left to get that out of the way. And as you can see, there's a figurine with a 75 on it. Go ahead and pick up that figurine and stick it on the left side of the scale. And it kind of moved the right side, but not quite where we need it to be. So just keep going left on the bottom shelf, interact with the apple to get that out of the way, and then interact with the two little paper hats here to get those out of the way. And now we have a lock that we need a key for, which we are about to get. But before we do, if you go over just a smidgen to the left, there's going to be a paper here with the Peacekeeper's crest on it. Go ahead and pick that up. And then just to the left of that is a figurine with the number 125 on it. So pick up the figurine, place it right next to the figurine with the 75 on the scale. And that will open up the scale on the other side so we can grab that key. Grab the key and use it on the lock on the bottom left. And then pick up the paper inside just to get it out of the way. And underneath is going to be a green hat. Go ahead and pick that up. And there's also going to be a corkscrew, but we're not going to use that just yet. We're going to use that here in a second. And on the right side of the drawer is another paper with the Peacekeeper's crest, so go ahead and pick that up. And then on the top left side is going to be the bell. This may not be an item listed for you, but if it is, that is where you are going to find it. And then on the, we're going to call this the center shelf on the left-hand side, is the candlestick holder, so pick that up. And just to the right of that is going to be the first chess piece, so make sure you grab that. And now we need to get the wine and the barrel into the mug here. And to do that, pick up the corkscrew in that drawer that you opened and use it on the barrel. And now the wine will pour into the mug. And then once it does, go ahead and interact with it to pick that up. And behind the mug were some scissors. Pick those up and use them on the net just above to cut that off. And you're going to see this little emblem here with the Peacekeeper's crest on it, so pick that up for piece number 3 of that set. And there's also going to be a toolbox up here, as well as a purple candle, so make sure you pick those up. And hanging in the very center top of this little cupboard of sorts, I'm not even sure what to call this, is going to be the bow. So pick up the bow if that is listed for you. And of course, all we have left is the last chess piece item, which is in this barrel of apples on the bottom right. Make sure it's the last item you pick up just in case it decides to wig out a little bit. So if you did that without making any mistakes, you will also get the steady hand trophy. I did make a mistake when I clicked on the hourglass just to show people who have that on their list where it is. So I did not get that one, but I'll get it here soon. So once you get your toolbox, go ahead and interact with the picture and then zoom in on the wheel and the rock again. And then open up your inventory with L2 or R2 and zoom in on the toolbox. And just keep clicking it until you get the hammer and chisel. And then hit square while you are hovered over the rock and choose the chisel. And then use the hammer on the chisel. And this will free the wheel of the wagon and we can move forward with the story. Okay, and grab the scroll out of this guy's hand. And now we can move on to Saddletown.
Oh no, the town. Who is that? Wait, don't!
Okay, and before we do anything, we're going to pick up our second coin really quick. So that's over on the right-hand side of this little area here where this rope is hanging down. Make sure you pick that up before you do anything else. And then go ahead and interact with the pile of rubble where that statue was directly in front of you. And you're just going to click around until you get the quiver and the pickaxe. So there's the quiver and there's the pickaxe. So once you have that, exit out of here and interact with the door that's banging on the right-hand side, and then use the pickaxe on that last plank to open that up.
Mad, bloodthirsty.
And out is going to come the mayor. There's going to be a little, who is this person? So once that happens, we're going to go inside the house. Alright, so the first thing we're going to move this large plank on the left side out of our way so we can better see the. And now we're going to pick up the third coin, which is going to be on the left side, sorry, the left desk over here, just under the little runner that it's under. I don't know what else to call that. So before we can move forward, interact with the mayor's room directly across the way, and that little hutch is going to fall over. When it does, interact with the stairs leading up to the attic, and just go ahead and zoom in on there so we can see what we're looking at. And we need a key that's going to fit this lock. So exit out of here and then walk up to the table on the left-hand side. And you just want to interact with the books up here until you get to the little healing book and interact with it again to read it. And you can actually skip this little cutscene here and just zoom in. And this is just going to show you how to make the little healing potion here in a second. So once you have that, exit out of here. And then as you can see on the right hand side, this glass cupboard is now glowing. This is going to be the next hidden object puzzle that we go do. And you can actually get under pressure here if you did not get it earlier, as all the sage leaves are pretty easy to get. So go ahead and walk up to the cupboard, interact with the cloth to open up the doors. And now we're just going to go in order from right to left and then on the bottom shelf and then left to right on the top shelf. So starting on the bottom right, interact with the red chili to move that out of the way, and pick up the sage leaf just on the right hand side. Then move this little blue feather here, and there's going to be a sage leaf hanging in the scroll just behind it. Interact with this little gold box and pick up the sage leaf inside there. Go ahead and interact with this purple bottle, and there's going to be a sage leaf just behind there. And then interact with these yellow flowers, and they're going to push out of the way, revealing the next sage leaf. And then just to the left is going to be a morphing one where this flower is going to morph into the leaf, so make sure you interact with it when the leaf is showing. And then just to the left of that in this book is going to be the next one. Okay, now we're going to head up to the top shelf, and on the top left, interact with this purple crystal here to reveal the next leaf. And then go over a little to the right to where this little copper pot is, interact with the top, and that's going to reveal the next one. And then just interact with the leaves just to the right of that to reveal the next leaf. And then in front of this glass jar is another morphing one. It's going to go from a feather to a sage leaf. Just make sure you interact with it when the leaf is showing. And then all the way on the right hand side in the scroll is going to be the 12th and final one. And if you didn't get Steady Hand before, that's a really good one to get it on, as well as the Under Pressure one. If you didn't get Under Pressure there, we'll have plenty of time to get it, so don't worry about that. So once you have the sage leaves, just interact with them. And then zoom in on the desk on the right-hand side and pick up the little vial. And then exit out of this screen. And go ahead and walk up to the desk on the left side again. And now we're going to make our little healing potion that we saw earlier. Okay, so first things first, in the top left hand corner where this little skeleton drawing is, we're going to use the vial up here, and that's going to put the oil on the desk for us. And then over where this little ginger root is, there's a little outline on the gear. This is where your sage leaves are going to go, so go ahead and place those down. And then on the lower left is this book here. Just interact with it to move it out of the way, and there's going to be another outline where we're going to put the clean wrap down. So now we can get started on this. So pick up the little knife that is on the left hand side of the table and use it on the root as well as the sage leaves. Alright, and then put the root as well as the sage leaves into the little bowl and go ahead and crush them down. And now we need to light the little Bunsen burner and beaker over here. So pick up the match that is just below the gear and use it on the little burner. And now we need to put the funnel onto the little glass jar and then put the oil into the glass jar. And now we need to turn the flame green as shown in this image right here where number 6 is. So turn the dial until the concoction is green. And then once it is, you're going to put in your sage and root little combination here. And now we need to turn the flame blue as it is showing in number 9. So go ahead and turn the dial a couple of times until you get that light blue color. And it'll actually bubble once it's correct as well, letting you know. So grab the jar and then use it on the little cloth on the bottom left hand side. And pick up the cloth. And now we're going to exit all the way back outside. Zoom in on the mayor. And we're going to use the healing cloth on his head over here. So use the healing wrap. And you can skip all of this dialogue and all these cutscenes here if you want. You can watch them. It's completely up to you. Once he gives you the key, make sure you pick it up before moving on. And then you can skip this too. But this is going to be our first rune battle that we come to in the game. And basically what's going to happen is your opponent is going to have the same number of runes as you. And you need to choose the one on your side that has no matching symbols to your opponent. So I believe we start off with 3 on the first one. Yeah. Okay, so each rune has 2 symbols on it. You need to make sure the rune you choose does not match any symbol on your opponent's side. So this one is actually it. So if we go to one of the wrong ones, we can see there's like the symbol that looks like the guy throwing his hands up in the air, and kind of like the telescope looking one, which both are used on your opponent's side. So choose the one that is not similar, and then it'll attack them. And you're just going to do this 2 to 3 times. So that was the first one. Okay, and the second one.
You'll pay for your...
And yours will most likely be different than mine. I doubt they're in the same spot. That would be incredibly convenient if they were, but I'm pretty sure they're not. So just make sure you're choosing the ones that are not similar on your screen, and you should be good.
You'll pay for your meddling.
Go.
Okay, once that's done, go ahead and head back on inside the house, and then zoom in on the ladder. And now we have a key that fits this lock up here, so go ahead and use the key on the lock. And this will give us access to a secret room, so head on up to the secret room. And before we do anything, we're going to grab another egg, which is going to be over here on the right hand side. It's going to be red, kind of hard to miss, so make sure you pick that up. And then we need to make a little bridge to make it across this gap here. So on the left hand side, this cupboard has a door that is just kind of hanging off. Interact with that to pick it up, and then place it over the gap. And then you're going to interact with the table on the right hand side across the room. It's the one with the little book on it. And we can't do anything here just yet, so you're just going to pick up the knife that is on the left hand side of the book. So grab that. And then exit out of here. And then interact with the colorful cupboard that is just to the left of the book. And as you can see, we have a circle hole, a square hole, and then the circle up at top, which means we can open this. So interact with the knob twice to open up that top drawer, and then just pick up the whistle. And that's all we can do here for now, so exit out of here. And before we go anywhere, go ahead and interact with the cupboard on the left side again. And we're going to zoom in on that, and then just interact with the bag of carrots. And it won't do anything, but now we can use the knife on it. So hit square and use the pocket knife. And that'll fill up this bucket with carrots. So pick up the bucket of carrots. And then interact with this little picture that is behind the bag. And just circle to exit out of it. But now you can get this blank canvas that was behind it. And then once you have that, we are done up here for now. So exit outside. And now we're going to head over to the right where the blacksmith workshop is. So make your way over there, and here we're going to find Yum Yum, which is quite the name, but either way, go ahead and interact with them, and they're going to give you a little clue as to what they want. So you need the whistle and the carrots in order to move forward, which we so conveniently already have. But before we move forward, we're going to go ahead and get our 4th coin, which is over on the right hand side, kind of above the shield here, so make sure you grab that before we leave. And then once you have that, exit out one screen and just go straight forward to the broken bridge, and then zoom in on the left bucket that has the little deer symbol on it. And then we're going to use the bucket of carrots on the empty bucket, and then go ahead and use the whistle on the newly filled bucket of carrots. And Yum Yum is going to make their way over. And we can't put the saddle on them just yet, so instead zoom in on their collar, and we need this little square piece here. So use the pocket knife on their collar, and we'll go ahead and get that square inset. And we're going to back out of the bridge, and we're going to go back inside the house and head up to the secret room and interact with the cupboard on the left hand side in the very back. And now we can place our little square inset into the square hole, so do that. And then interact with the knob twice And we're going to open up the center drawer and then just pick up the little mold that is on the right hand side. And now we're done here, so exit out of here and exit out of the house. And we're going to head back to the blacksmith workshop. And while you're here, zoom in on the tree trunk on the right hand side. It's just to the left of that shield over there. And you're going to pick up the S hook that is behind the left hand side of the tree trunk. And then pick up one of the wooden logs and just place it on top of the trunk. And as you can see, a little device fell off the ground when you move the log. Go ahead and pick that up. And this is just going to be a metal file that we're going to be using later. So exit out of the tree stump and then zoom in on the little cement plank down here with the handle in the very back. And you're just going to pick up the piece of coal. And then go ahead and exit out of here and then back to the main little circle area. And now we're going to get a little imprint of a key decoder, which is going to be this stone right here. So zoom in on the rocks in the center of town. And then you're going to use the blank canvas on this rock. And then you're going to use the coal piece on this rock. So grab the coal and just kind of shake it back and forth until you get the little imprint onto the canvas. Okay, and then pick up that little piece of canvas, and we're going to use that here in a second. But before we do, we are going to go back to the broken bridge really quick. And just ignore Yum Yum for now. Instead, zoom in on the sign that is just behind it to the right. And then you're going to use the metal file on the chains. And that's just going to loosen them up. So interact with the sign again to get the chain and to actually break the sign. But that's not our problem, so we're just going to move on. So once you have the chain, exit back to the main little town area. And we're going to go inside the house. And then interact with the right little table, and then here is where we're going to decode using that canvas that we just picked up. So use the canvas on the lock itself, and you're just going to match the pattern with the symbols shown, and then interact with both little pieces of paper here just to get a glimpse at them, and then pick up the circle inset as well as the little blanket. And go ahead and exit out of this desk. And we're going to head upstairs into the secret room and interact with the cupboard in the back left. And now we have the second little circle inset for this bottom drawer. So use that on the little hole and then interact with the handle twice. And you're going to pick up this little golden statue on the left hand side. And again, the fact that that just fell out of the building is not really our problem. So we're just going to pretend that wasn't us and back out of the secret room. And we're going to back out of the house. And we're going to go back to the blacksmith workshop. And on the gears on the right hand side, we're going to use the chain that we picked up off that sign. And then go ahead and zoom in on the cement plank that has the handle on top where we picked up the coal before. And you're going to use the S hook on the chain on this side. And then exit out of that little zoomed in area and just interact with the gears on the left. And that will lift up the little cement block so we can see inside. So zoom in on the hole and then just click around until you get the saddle as well as the axe. And then once you have that, go ahead and zoom in on the tree stump over on the right hand side where we placed that log before and use the axe on the log to get the wooden pieces. All right, pick those up. And now you want to zoom in on the furnace that is also on the right hand side, just a little ways past that stump. And you're going to use those wooden logs inside the furnace. And you're going to click on the bellow, not once, but you're going to do it twice. So once, and then twice. And as you can see, just to the right is a little blue outline. This is where you're going to place that mold that we picked up earlier. So the hand key mold is going to go into that outline. And then use the golden elk, that golden statue you picked up with the mold. And then just to the left of the furnace, down in this little water, there are going to be some pliers, so pick those up and use them on the mold. and then pick up the mold and use it in the fire. And then once it's done, pick it up again and use it on the water bucket on the left-hand side. And it's automatically going to make its way over to the anvil on the right-hand side. Once it does, use the hammer on the mold. And you're going to pick up the golden piece that appears from it. So from here, we are going to unlock that book that we saw earlier. So exit out of the blacksmith shop. And we're going to head back inside the house. And then head up to the secret room. And then zoom in on the book on the back right-hand side. And you're just going to use that hand mold in the book on the front cover. And here we're just going to go through a couple series of little find the symbol pictures. They're super easy. There's not really much of anything to them. And we can skip most of the dialogue here as well. So we need to find the little hand key symbol, which is in this red shield over here on the right hand side. And there's going to be 3 of them. So the first one, interact with the statue's beard. That's going to be the first one. Move the paper on the ground is going to be the second one. And on the guy with the blue shirt, just move the other one's hand, and it's going to be on his little sash. And we can skip the dialogue here, and then just hit X to go forward. And now we're looking for 3 sets of eyes. So the first one is going to be on the statue, interact with the bandana, and that'll be the eyes. And then interact with the gentleman with the blue shirt, and when he moves, that'll be the second set of eyes. And then interact with the shadowy figure in the back, and the third pair will appear. And again, you can skip the dialogue here, so go ahead and do so. Hit X to continue. And now we're looking for a skull and crossbones set. So first, you're going to interact with these birds, and the cloud is going to turn into the first skull, so click on that. Then interact with the snow on top of the mountain, and that's going to reveal the second one. And then just interact with the feathers on the hawk that he's flying, or eagle, excuse me. And then the third one is going to be right there, so interact with those. And again, you can skip the dialogue. And make sure you pick up both pieces of paper here. And now we can get on Yum Yum and move forward with the story. So exit out of the secret room, back out of the house, go forward to the broken bridge. And now we're going to put the saddle on Yum Yum. So first we're going to put that blanket. And now we're going to put the saddle. And now we're going to use the map to the Great Tree with Yum Yum to head on over there. And again, you can skip this if you want. I'm just letting it play just to let it play. Because if you do skip it, then I'll just join you back here in a couple of seconds. Okay, so first things first, before we do anything, we are going to pick up our third egg, which is this blue egg on the right-hand side, just under the wooden sign on the net. So make sure you grab that before you do anything else. And now we're going to move and get to our third little hidden object puzzle. So to do so, use the pocket knife on this wooden sign on the right-hand side. And then you're going to pick up the rune that is underneath this. And this will actually unlock the Rune Gatherer trophy for you. And then once you have that, use the pocket knife on the net. And now as you can see, that walkway is now glowing, letting you know that there's a hidden object puzzle. So walk up to that and we'll get that completed. Okay, for this hidden object puzzle, it's going to be a little different from the first one we did. Instead of them listing the items in words that we need to collect, we need to match the pictures. So we're actually going to start with the center one, these 2 gloves with the 2 shoes, because those are the easiest to get out of everything. So on the dummy, on the far left-hand side, his little left hand is going to be having one of the gloves, and then just below that is one of the boots, so pick those up. And just to the left of that, on this tree stump, is going to be the second glove. And then the second boot is over on the right-hand side, just next to the hay bale. So click that to pick it up. And now we're going to work on the weapons over here. And this is one of the morphing pieces. I believe it's the only morphing piece out of this entire section, but it's going to be the shield, which is going to be going from the shield to this wheel and then back to the shield. Just make sure you interact with it when it is in fact the shield. So now we need a spear, a helmet, and a chest piece. The chest piece is actually hanging off the dummy on the right hand side, so just interact with that to pick it up. The spear is in this little mud pile over here, but we can't get to it just yet. First, you want to pick up the water bucket that's in the back center and go ahead and use that on the mud that the spear is in, and then interact with the spear to get it out, and then interact with it again to pick it up. And now we need the helmet, which is on the dummy hanging up on the top right hand side. So to do so, we need to shoot it. So just on the ground to the left of the dummy with the red scarf is a crossbow. So pick up the crossbow, and then just underneath the crossbow was a big sword. Pick up the sword and use it on the arrow that is shooting the dummy on the left hand side. And the arrow fell down on the ground, so pick that up and place it in the crossbow. And you want to interact with the target over here when it turns green. So wait for it to center, and then turn green. And when you shoot it, the helmet will fall on the ground, so be sure to pick that up when it does. And now the last objects we need are some hay, a bag, a rope, and 2 buttons. So for the hay, just go ahead and interact with the hay bale on the right hand side, and it'll toss them into a pile, so pick that up when it does. And then just to the left of that is the rope. And then just in front of where the rope was is going to be the first button on this little, I think this is a broken barrel of sorts, I'm not really sure, but pick up the button that is on this blue wooden thing, and then make your way over to the left hand side. And just to the right of the dummy on the left hand side is the empty bag, so pick that up. And then the last button is another morphing piece, and it's actually the target on the left dummy. That's going to be switching from the button to a little target, so make sure you interact with it when it is in fact the button. Here we go. And this will give you the warrior dummy that we are going to use on Yum Yum. So go ahead and interact with the warrior dummy to put it in your inventory, and then use it on Yum Yum. And now we're going to have another little mini game battle, and here you need to hit X when your cursor runs through the center of this image, as it will turn green. So right now it's red, in the center it's green, so hit X, and then wait for it to go to the center again. Okay, and you're going to do it again with the second guy, and he's going to take 3 hits. So you need to wait for the little symbol to go into the center 3 times. So here we have red. And as you can see, it'll always kind of slow down right before it goes to the center, letting you know to get ready to hit X when necessary. And we just have one more. Okay, and that'll finish up that battle. Okay, and interact with the 2 gentlemen who are now sleeping on the front lawn out here. And then interact with the left hand of Blondie up on top. And then pick up the wing inset that he is wearing around his neck. And before we can do anything else, we need to open up the house so that we can go in. So zoom in on the front door. And then you're going to interact with the chain that's hanging down. And when it's outstretched kind of towards this little log over here, you want to use the pocket knife to hold the chain down. And now we have access to the great tree itself. But before we go inside, go ahead and zoom in on the leftmost banner, just to the left of the actual tree itself. And you're going to put the wing inset that we just picked up on the left hand side. And then pick up the glass bottle as well as the rune underneath. And just underneath that is a little metallic feather of sorts. You want to pick that up as well. Alright, then once you have that, exit out of this area. And now we're going to go inside the great tree. And before we do anything, we're going to pick up our next egg, which is going to be this purple egg, kind of directly in front of you, just slightly to the left of center. So pick that up, and that's going to be egg 4 out of 15. And as you can see directly across from you is going to be this dark room. Go ahead and use the lamp that you just picked up in there to give it some light. We're not going to do anything in there just yet, but at least you can see it now. Go and get that done. And then zoom in on the barrels on the right-hand side and pick up the sponge that is inside the barrel. And go ahead and interact with the cork just to show that it will wiggle, but it won't actually come out. So that's going to be our goal next, is to find something to actually remove that cork. So for now, exit out of here and out of the great tree. And back on the training ground, you can see it's all glowy again, which means we have another hidden object scene to do. So go ahead and walk up to that area. And we're going to do the second part of this little section here. Alright, and as you can see, it's going to be a little different from before. Again, this is actually going to be the third type of hidden puzzle that we do. This one gives you the outlines of the objects you need to find, and you kind of just need to look around and find the objects that match them. So we're just going to go in order from left to right. So the first two are some swords. The first one is going to be on the right-hand side by this hay bale, just underneath the sarcophagus. And then the second one is going to be on the left-hand side in this cauldron over here, so go ahead and grab that. The deer is going to be a shape-shifting one. It's actually going to be directly above the shield. This little yellow pennant on this banner here is going to switch from a star to the deer. Just make sure you interact with it when it is in fact the deer. And then the lion is going to be 2 pennants down to the left. It's not going to be changing, so you can just click on that as soon as you can. And then the third one is going to be a bird, which is going to be on the shield. But first we need to clean this before we can see it. So just a little over to the right on the ground is this cloth here. Pick it up and use it on the shield, and that will reveal the bird. And go ahead and interact with that once you can see it. And then the next item is going to be a mirror, and that's going to be on the left-hand side just behind these orange mushrooms, so pick that up. And then the next 2 items are actually going to be inside the sarcophagus. So to open that up, just to the left of the shield is this little mace thing. Use that on the doors of the sarcophagus to open it up, and pick up both items inside. And then the next one is going to be an axe, and this is going to be a shapeshifter as well. On the dummy to the right-hand side, the axe is going to switch between an axe and a spear, so you want to make sure you click on it when it is in fact the axe. So we got that one, and the next is going to be a pillory, which is going to be directly behind the shield, just a little on the right-hand side, so interact with that to pick it up. And the last part is a unicorn. So here we have a horse's head that is missing the horn, which is just to the right on the ground. So pick up the horn, put it on the horse's head, and then interact with both to get the unicorn head, and that will finish up this little hidden object puzzle. So you'll get the broken halberd here, interact with it to actually put it in your inventory, and we're going to head back inside to the great tree, and head back over to the right side where the barrels are, and we're going to use that broken halberd on the cork here to remove it. And when the wine flows, you'll notice that another little metallic feather is floating over through the grates on the kind of right-hand side, so pick that up as soon as you can. Don't worry if you hit that paper, it doesn't really matter, it doesn't affect anything. So once you have that, go ahead and where we threw the lamp in to light up that dark room, there's a little symbol right across the way on the right-hand side wall. Interact with that to zoom in on it. And here you're going to place those 2 metallic feathers that we have picked up and place those there. And now we basically need to switch the feathers on the sides that they're on. So the top row, we need to move the purple over to the left and the yellow over to the right. Middle row, blue goes to the left, green goes to the right. And on the bottom part, the red goes left and the light blue goes to the right. So just switch both colors. It is a little finicky. If you mess this up, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. So just try to aim up the cursor with the pieces that you're meaning to actually move. And then once it's open, pick up the scroll that this little claw is holding, and pick up the claw as well. We do need this for that puzzle that's on the left side of the tree, the great tree. And then pick up the rune that is on the right side of this little cabinet section here. Okay, and exit out of the great tree, and we're going to zoom in on that left banner again. And this is where we're going to put that claw that we just picked up. So use the claw on the little imprint on the right hand side. And then pick up the wheel that is inside the little cubby hole here. And you're going to go through this little cutscene regarding a spell that you can make, but you can't actually make it yet. We do need 4 runes to do this, and we only have 3. But if you just do a quick little click on the book on the top, you'll see the symbols that we need to create with the color vial that we need to mix it with. But again, we can't do that just yet. So hit circle to close this. And if you did not pick up the wheel, please do so now. Just zoom in on the left flag banner thing, and then pick up the wheel out of the right cubby, because you are going to be needing that here in just a second. So exit out of here if you have not already done so. And then we're going to go back into the great tree. And then the wheel you just picked up, we're going to use it with this little device with the eagle on top of it on the left-hand side of the screen. So use the wheel lever and then interact with it again. And those 3 doors are going to open up, but we're not going to go through them just yet. Instead, pick up the rune that is on the rock that fell when those doors opened. And this will be the 4th rune that we need to create that first magic spell. So hit down on the D-pad. And you're just going to click all 4 rune symbols. And that's going to recreate the symbol up top in the book. And now we need to match the right vial with the color to finish this. So this is going to be the green-ish, bluish looking color. So the top left vial, go ahead and mix that with the symbol. And now we have the freezing spell. So we're going to go ahead and use that to pick up another piece. So exit out of the great tree, zoom in on the banners on the left-hand side, and just interact with the little blue tree on the bottom section, and you're automatically going to cast the spell needed to open up this little drawer cubbyhole of sorts. Okay, and pick up the scroll inside, and this is going to be the second half of the map. So before we do anything, hit L2 or R2 to actually open your inventory, and then zoom in on map of the tree, and then hit square, and you're going to use the map part on this, and this is going to complete the actual map that we need to use to move forward. So once you have that, go inside the great tree, zoom in on the 3 doors open in the back. And as you can see, the right door does have a symbol above it, but the 2 left doors are a little hidden. So on the far left door, use the sponge to clean off that symbol. And then just click a few times on the middle symbol to remove the grass so you can see that one. And then just use the map of the great tree anywhere on the screen with the 3 doors.
Seems like the safest way to the throne room is through the prison.
Okay, and that's going to tell you going through the prison is the easiest way, so we're going to go ahead and do that. So interact with the leftmost door. And we're going to go through a series of little complete the puzzle paintings. I'm not really sure what else to call them, but as you can see, this guy is missing a blade on his weapon. The sun is missing 3 flames, and the guy on the left is missing a shoulder pauldron. So you need to find the missing pieces within the painting to complete it. So the second half of the guy's blade is all the way on the left-hand side. There's a little hand holding it out, so just place that back. The shoulder pauldron is in the top right corner where the cloud is, just left of this tree. So place that back on his shoulder. And now the 3 flames to the sun. The first one is in the top left corner on top of this guy's head. So just place that back where it goes. And then the left guy on his boot is another little flame. So replace that back on the sun. And then the guy on the right actually has short hair. So take the hair off of the back of his head, and that's going to be the next little flame part of the sun. So you can skip this dialogue here, and then once you can, interact with the symbol that is showing on the sun, and go inside the door. And now we are missing 3 eagle feathers and 1 sword blade. So starting with the eagle feathers, interact with the 2 large leaves on the left-hand side, and that will reveal the first one. And then the handle of the sword that the gentleman is carrying is going to be another feather, so place that back on the eagle. And then just to the right of the gentleman, down on the bottom right, is the 3rd and final feather, so pick that up and place it back on the eagle. And then on the far right side behind the bushes is going to be the sword blade, so pick that up and put it back on the sword. And you can skip this dialogue. And as soon as you can, interact with the symbol on the top and go through the doorway. And once again, we need to find 3 items. 1 is a moon, 1 is a banner, and 1 is some handcuffs. So the moon is in the puddle directly below the hole where the moon is, so pick that up and put it in. And then the banner is actually just to the left of the actual banner post on the spear, so pick that up and replace it. And then the handcuffs are on the shadow of the archer on the back right hand side, so pick those up and place them on the human.
Elves won that final battle.
And as before, you can skip this little cutscene, and once you are able to, interact with the symbol on the top and then go through the doorway, and we will be in the prison now. Okay, before we do anything, we're going to pick up our next coin. So where the gentleman is hanging in the cage on the left, just below him on the red banner is going to be the next coin. So make sure you pick that up before we do anything else. Okay, now you're going to pick up the broom handle that is just at the bottom of the stairs, right behind that bucket. And now you're going to talk with the gentleman that is hanging in the cage. So just exhaust all of his dialogue here. And he's going to tell you that he's cold, he wants a blanket, and all this good stuff. So exit out of the cage, and just to the left of him is a lever. Go ahead and pull that. And it's going to switch the cages, so he's going to end up in the back, and this cage with the vine is going to end up in front of you. So zoom in on the cage with the vine. And then just to the left of the cage is this little bucket. Interact with that. And then you're going to pick up a whip handle. And it's that little golden piece that was inside the bucket. And then once you have that, use that on the vine that is on the cage and interact with it to pick up the vine whip. And then inside, you're going to pick up the blanket. And then just underneath the blanket is going to be another little golden hand here. And this is the sign of the mayor that we're going to be using a little later. So exit out of this little screen and then zoom in on the back door. And there's going to be a hanging net just on the left-hand side. You're going to use the vine whip on that net. So just scroll over it. And then use the thorn whip, and then interact, and then pull the net, and then hold R2 or L2 to open up your inventory and zoom in on the hanging net. Interact with it a couple of times until you get the actual flask that is inside. Here we go. And then exit out of this little room. And then pull the lever that is just to the left of the cage again to switch the cages back. And then zoom in on the cage with the gentleman. And then use the blanket on him.
Honored Elder, can you give me your...
And just exhaust all of his dialogue and also use the water. And then just exhaust all of his dialogue again. So we don't have any food for him just yet, but we're about to get that here in a second. So exit out of his cage. And if you look over on the right-hand side, this little area is glowing now. It wasn't before. It is now. So this is going to be the next hidden object puzzle that we do. So walk up to it, and we're going to go ahead and get this started. Okay, now we need to find 12 beaks that are all hidden within this little area here. And we also need to find 1 ham, but we'll actually get the ham when we find all 12 beaks, which will end up on this little centerpiece here. So To find them, we're going to start on the right-hand side. So interact with the paintbrush that's hanging down over on the right, and that'll reveal a beak just behind it. And then just to the left is going to be this potato sack, and there's actually going to be a potato that morphs between a potato and the beak. So make sure you interact with it when it is in fact the beak. And then just behind the potato sack on these ropes is going to be another little one. So move the ropes and click on the beak to collect it. And then just a little lower left of the potato sack is going to be a piece of broccoli. Go ahead and interact with that to move it, and there's going to be a beak just behind that. And we're going to keep going left to where these blue and white plates are. Interact with the mushroom to move it, and behind that is going to be another beak. And then on this gargoyle statue, interact with the vines just behind it on the left, and there's going to be another beak that's going to be revealed. And just keep making your way down and to the left, and on this candle sticking through the little fence post is going to be another one, so interact with that. And then just to the right, you're going to see this bowl of, I guess, like pink berries of some sort. Interact with the, what I think is bread that is right next to it. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it will crack and will reveal another beak, so click on that when it does. And just to the right is going to be a little honey pot. Interact with the honey pot to remove the lid, and inside is going to be another beak, but we need a spoon to get this one, so just to the left, kind of near the gargoyle, is going to be the spoon hanging on the little fence post. Go ahead and pick that up, use it on the honey pot, and then collect your little beak. And then just keep heading right and move the pine cone, and there's going to be a beak on the little moss here. And then if you go just directly above that, just to the left of this little jewelry box, there's going to be a beak just hanging out on its own, just on top of where that broccoli was. So now we need to get the last piece, which is actually inside the jewelry box. But to do so, we need a lever. So once again, on the left-hand side by the gargoyle, there is a lever that he is kind of leaning against. So pick that up, use it on the top of the jewelry box, interact with it to open up the drawer, and pick up the beak. And that will be the 12th and final one. So this little plate will open, revealing the ham. And once you have the ham, go ahead and interact with the gentleman hanging in the cage again, and give him the ham. And in turn, he's going to give you a cane. So just exhaust all of his dialogue here, pick up the cane, and now head into the room directly across the way where we picked up the net that was hanging. And you're going to use the broomstick and the cane to finish off the steps here. And once you do, hit interact to climb up. And we're going to go ahead and skip this cutscene and get going on the next part. Okay, before we do anything, we're going to pick up our 5th egg that's going to be available in the game, and it's going to be this green egg just to the left of the throne seat where that lady is standing up on top. So make sure you pick it up before we do anything else. And again, that should be 5 out of 15. In case you missed one, you're going to have to go back. You're actually going to have to start over to go back. It's a little bit of a pain, but good thing about it is that if you, even if you start a new game from the main menu, all the eggs that you picked up on a previous game will still count as being picked up. Like, they won't show. Only the ones that you actually physically missed will appear. That doesn't happen if you physically delete your save file, only if you start a new game from the main menu. So just a heads up in case you do miss something. They're kind of easy to miss, so I don't really blame you. But once you have your egg, walk up to the lady that is standing up by the little throne up there and exhaust her dialogue. And open up your inventory, and you're going to use the sacred truce with her. And exhaust the dialogue some more. And she's going to give you a key, so pick up that key. And exit out of this area. And now you're going to interact with the mayor, who is hanging on the left-hand side of the wall, so walk up to him. And first you're going to use the sign of the mayor, which is that little golden hand. And now you're going to use the key on him. And now we're going to get another little puzzle where we have to find missing pieces within the picture to complete the puzzle. So we're just going to move from left to right to make this easy. So the girls on the left, pick up the flask that they're holding, and that goes on the gentleman on the right hand side. And then go back to the two girls and pick up the crown that is on the left one's head. And that's going to go on the center gentleman on the right. And then back to the girls and pick up the wings. And those are going to go on the dove on the right hand side. And then just above the elf that is on the left hand side of the center area is this little pauldron of sorts. Go ahead and pick that up and put it on the human that is on the left hand side of the center area. And then kind of towards their hands is this little branch thing. I would love to tell you what it is, but I really don't know. Part of a staff, but that goes up on the little hole just to the left of this wizard guy on the center. And then just below where that piece was is a piece of the wave that is on the left hand side. So pick that up and stick that over on the left. And then on the human, this looks less like the Peacekeeper crest and more of some weird symbol, but that little golden part is not part of it. So pick up the Peacekeeper crest and it's going to go up on the banner on the top center. And then still on the human here, this looks like a sash hanging off of his back armor. It's not, it's actually part of the cloak on the other guys, so pick that up and stick it on the other guy's cloak. And we're almost done. So over on the far right guy actually has two pieces on him, so you're going to pick up the ivy first, and that's going to go on the dove on the left hand side, and then pick up the little cloak thingy that is on his shoulder, and that's going to go all the way over on the left hand side. And you can skip this little cutscene if you want. And go ahead and pick up the scroll that's inside. And head back up the stairs to the lady that is by the throne. And you're going to use that Elven Sacred Truce on her. Go and exhaust the dialogue. And now you're going to use the quiver that you picked up earlier. And again, exhaust all the dialogue here. And just make sure you interact with her to pick up the last scroll. And you can skip her dialogue if you want. It's not that long. We're just going to let it run out. So once you can, interact with the knight on the far right hand side, and you're actually going to use the free roam permit with him. And that's going to allow you to zoom in on the desk back there. So zoom in on the far right back desk. And just keep clicking everything until you get to the map. So interact with the map to put it in your inventory. And this chick in the far back right now, just under that eagle, you're going to use the map with her, and you're going to go to Radha's house. And you can skip this cutscene as well. Okay, and the first thing we're going to do when we arrive is click these feathers to get them out of our face. And as you can see, we're kind of stuck in a net here, and we're going to call Yum Yum to come help us here in a second. So once you regain control, pick up the stick that's directly in front of you. And just behind that was Yum Yum's whistle, so use the stick on the whistle to grab it, and then just use the whistle anywhere to actually call Yum Yum, and he's going to help get you out of this little net here. And you can skip this little cutscene if you want. And now we are outside of the net, but before we do anything, we're going to pick up our next egg, which is directly across the little gap here, just behind the center wooden plank. And that'll be egg 6 out of 15. And then once you have that, we're going to go ahead and go down behind Rhoda's house here. And before we do anything, we're going to pick up our next coin, which is on the little airplane machine just to the left-hand side on one of the little wing rudder things. So make sure you grab the coin before we do anything else. And then zoom in on that airplane machine itself. And then pick up the candle that is on top of it. And exit out of this little area. And on the far right hand side, next to this box on the ground, you'll see that there is a beam of light here. You want to use the candle on that beam of light to actually light the wick. And then we're going to use that to burn a rope. So zoom in on the tree in the center, and then use the lit candle on the rope. And that airplane will come crashing down to the ground, which will be the next little hidden object puzzle that we do. So walk up to it, and we're going to get this done. And just like the first one we did, there's going to be a list of words down on the bottom that we need to find. Only 3 are blue here, so it's not going to be too bad, so let's just get going. The wooden sword is going to be kind of in the center here, and just to the left of that is going to be the wrench, so pick that up. And then just above both of those is going to be the comma. And then on the clock is going to be the broken axe. And then just above here, it's a little finicky to try and get, but the draw knife is actually under this plank here, and it might not let you get it until the last item. Just as a heads up here, I didn't mean to grab that. But also on that plank is the hammer. Okay, we'll come back to that one. So the metal ruler is going to be against the wing on the back, kind of top left hand side, so pick up the ruler there. And now we need to get this little bear trap. We need to set it off so that we can get the saw piece behind it. But before we do that, we are going to grab these scissors that is in front of this box with the question mark on it, and use it on the bag that is just to the right of the wing in the back. And a whole bunch of pieces are going to fall out from that, including the hand drill as well as the knife. And a little saw handle also dropped down, so that's why we need to get the saw blade out of the bear trap. So leaning against the box with the clock on it is this little metal pipe. Pick up the metal pipe and use it on the bear trap, and that'll close it. So pick up the saw blade, put it on the saw blade handle, and then use that to actually pick up the hand saw. And then we need the draw knife and the jack plane and the chisel is just going to be right on top of the box with the question mark on it. The jack plane is going to be just under the wing, just in front of this elves are attacking paper. And now the draw knife is the last one that it wasn't letting us get earlier. See if you can click it free. There we go. Again, it might take a few tries to actually get that one, but once you have it, interact with the handsaw to put it in your inventory. And now we're going to head over back to the little airplane structure on the left hand side. So zoom in on that, and you're going to use the handsaw on the little wooden pegs to break this apart. And then pick up the fishing rod as well as the gear inside. And now you're going to zoom in on the well just to the right of that little airplane thing. And you're going to use the fishing rod on the gear inside the well. And then pick up the gear once it's outside. And now we're done with this area for now, so go ahead and exit back out to outside of Radha's house. And you're going to interact with the gears on the right hand side. And you have all 3 gears necessary now, so use them on the outlines of this little device. And this will lower the bridge so that we can actually go inside Radha's house. So go ahead and go on inside. Before we do anything, we are going to grab a coin that is clearly visible in this cutscene here, but in case you didn't see it, it's on the right hand side just behind this chair right here, so make sure you grab that before we do anything. And then just to the left of where that coin was, zoom in on the staff, and you're going to pick up the box that's just in front, and you're going to interact with this lens. Do it once, and then do it twice, and do it once more. And we can't actually unlock this just yet, but just know we'll be coming back to here. So exit out of the lock for now, exit away from the staff. And now you're going to interact with the workroom doorway that's kind of directly across the room here. And it's going to block you and knock over that bucket that's on the stairs. Pick up the bucket that fell over, and then zoom in on the stairs and just click to remove the plank. And just click the gears a couple of times so that you know that they are what is controlling what is blocking you from that room. So once you understand that, exit out of the stairs and exit out of the little house. And we're going to go back behind Rhoda's house. And as you can see, the airplane wreckage on the right hand side is glowing again, which lets us know that there is another hidden object puzzle to do. But before we do that, we're going to go back to the well. And we're going to use the bucket on the well to get some water. And once it's full, pick it up to make sure it gets added to your inventory. And now we're going to go ahead and do the hidden object puzzle in the plain wreckage. So here we're going to find the clock numbers as well as the mechanical hand. And we're just going to do this in order so you can see where all the numbers are. So 1 is going to be right next to this chisel down in the kind of center left area. And then 2 is going to be on the wooden plank in the far back right. And then 3 and 5 are actually together, but we need to break them apart before we can actually get to them. So you're going to pick up that chisel that the 1 was next to and use it on the left hand side in front of the little bear trap. The 5 and 3 are connected by a little wooden bar of some sort. So use the chisel on that to break it, and then pick up the 3. And then towards the center is going to be the 4. And the 5 was just next to the 3, so go back to the bear trap and pick up the 5. And then the 6 is just to the right of the box with the question mark on it. And 7 is actually inside the box. So to open this up, we need a handle to open it, kind of like a jack-in-the-box sort of thing. So the wing in the back left, there is a handle hanging off the right-hand side of it. Pick up the handle and use it on the box. Interact with the handle to actually open up the box, and then pick up the 7. And then just to the right under the circle piece is going to be the 8. And then just to the left of the box the clock is on is going to be the 9. And then under the wooden plank where we got the 2, so directly above the wooden box with the clock on it, is going to be the 10. And then the 11 is going to be within the bear trap itself. And of course 12 is basically direct center in the middle. So once you click on the 12, that will open up the box and then we'll get the mechanical hand. So pick that up. Alright, and interact with it to make sure it goes into your inventory. And we're going to back out this way. And before we go back inside, we're going to go ahead and wake up the girl over here. So zoom in on Yum Yum and the lady. And we're just going to throw the bucket of water on her. And go ahead and exhaust all of the dialogue that she has for you. And then exit out of this area. And we're going to go inside Rhoda's house. Alright, and before we can go in there, we need to break the gear so that we can break this little security mechanism of sorts. So zoom in on the stairs. And then use the mechanical hand on the gears. And just move the stuff around until you can pick up that golden square back there. So pick that up as soon as you can. And then you're going to head into the workroom. Before we do anything, we're going to pick up our next coin, which is going to be on the right hand side, just below the glowing device leading to the next hidden object puzzle. We don't need that just yet, so just underneath, make sure you grab that coin, and that's going to be coin 8 out of 20. And then go ahead and walk up to the right desk, and we're going to do the next little hidden object puzzle, which is a little different. Everything you have, or sorry, everything you need is here. It's just a matter of finding everything and using everything you find in some strange ways. So to get started, go ahead and use the little golden device you just picked up on the little right cupboard here. And on the top left shelf, you're going to pick up this little, I don't even know what to call this. It just says find and use. It's like a little scissor pocket knife of sort. And then this book just to the left of the central panel is this book with the rope tied around it. Use that little pocket knife on the rope. And then when the book opens, you're going to pick up the little gold piece on the page. And this is going to go on the top drawer just below the book. So use that on the drawer to open it up. And you're going to pick up some pliers as well as a bolt. And with the pliers, go back to the right hand side of the desk and use it on this little yarn ball of sorts over here. And that's going to give you the second yellow piece to open up the bottom drawer. So go ahead and pick that up and use that golden piece on the bottom drawer. And you're going to pick up the bolt inside. And now you're going to go to the top of the central panel And as you can see, there are 4 images up here. One is a bolt, one is a hammer of sorts, one is a gear, and one is a nut. So you want to use the nut on the nut picture, and then the bolt on the bolt picture, and just pick up this glorious looking screw, and you're going to use that on the hole that is just directly below it. So that'll open up the next part, and you're going to pick up the flying machine little picture as well as the gear picture. And on the top of the console, you're going to put the gear picture in the little gear slot. And then just to the right of the central of the console is going to be the flying machine. So put that in the little imprint. And a little section will open up on the left-hand side. Pick up the little hammer as well as the other flying machine inside of that little cubby hole. And then use the hammer on the top of the central console. And that will reveal the last picture that we need. So on the bottom right of this centerpiece is going to be the other flying machine. And that will give us the piece with the guy with the 8 legs. So use that on the top. And we're going to get the other headpiece that is inside here. And make sure you interact with it to actually put it inside your inventory. And now we're going to pick up the arrows that are just below the window on the left-hand side of the room. And we're going to zoom in on the desk that it has, it's just to the left of the furnace, but it has this little head mold on it here. We can't use this just yet, but instead pick up the key that is just to the left of it. And exit out of here and open up your inventory with either L2 or R2. And you're going to zoom in on the strange box, and you're going to use the strange box key on the strange box itself. And here we're going to have to put together a couple of images to complete this puzzle. So first you're going to pick up the group of people, and then you're going to pick up the bundle of wheat, and go ahead and switch over once to the right. And as you can see, there's a sad looking guy here that doesn't have anything on him. So we're going to go over one more to the right. And then pick up the flying machine that's on the bench here. And head over one more to the right. And again, there's nothing here. So we're going to go back to the image of the guy holding his hands out to nothing. And in the little box he's standing across from, we're going to place the goblin's crowd. And in his hands, we're going to place the flying machine. And then we're going to pick him up when he falls on the ground. And head over to the right once more, and we're going to place him on the bench where we picked up the flying machine earlier, and place the wheat inside of the box on the right hand side. And then pick up the female goblin that appears, and head over to the right. And we're actually going to put her on the right little bolt here, and we're missing a piece that wasn't visible earlier, but it is now. So you want to go right twice, and there's now a little bolt that is behind this little red flag. It wasn't there earlier, you didn't miss it, it's fine, it just appeared. So pick up the bolt that is behind the red flag, and go either left or right twice, doesn't matter which direction, and just use the bolt on the flying machine here. And you're going to get a little cutscene. You can skip it if you want. I'm just going to let it play out because it's kind of cute. And then we can move forward. Make sure you pick up all 3 items inside, and that is including the little key coder as well as the female goblin and the male goblin. Okay, now you're going to zoom in on the cabinet that is just to the right of the furnace here. And you're going to use the 2 goblin pieces you just picked up to open up this cabinet. And then once inside, pick up the note on the top shelf, and this is going to be the assassination note. Make sure you hit pick to actually add it to your inventory. And you're going to get the second half of the fake head, which we are going to use here in just a minute. And zoom back onto the desk that is just to the left of the furnace where we picked up that key earlier. And you're going to use all fake head parts on this little mold, and then wait for it to clean itself up, and then you're going to pick that up as a mask. Okay, and now we have all 3 parts that we need to continue on with the story. So exit out of the house, exit once more so you are outside, And then zoom in on Yum Yum. And now we're gonna select items in the correct order to convince her that we know what is going on. So first you're going to use the arrows.
Well done, Peacekeeper.
Wait for her to finish talking. Then you're going to use the fake head.
Rhoda created a genuine...
Once again, wait her to finish talking.
To General Bella.
And then you're going to use the kidnapper's note as the third one.
So, Rhoda's wife was kidnapped and he was blackmailed to attack our king? Only he asked for help. I'll take the evidence to General Bella. Here.
Okay, and you can skip all of her dialogue. And make sure you pick up the feather before you back out of here. And she's gonna go fly off because that's what she does, I guess. So when she does, head back inside the house. And you're gonna zoom in on the staff that is on the right hand side. And you're gonna zoom in on the lens. And as you can see, there's a feather imprint on the top of this little section here. So use the feather she just gave you. And that will activate the little key lock. And you're going to use the staff combination as well to show you what symbols you need. So you need to change these 3 so that they match the symbols shown on the little key coder. And that will open up a little portal. So walk up to the portal. And here you need to find 3 hidden objects. This one is a little weird because you can't really skip the cutscenes and the guy talks kind of slow, so just bear with it. But for this first one, we're looking for the symbol shown on the scroll here. So interact with the boat to move it. The symbol's just below it. And then on this right foot back here, there's going to be the second symbol. And then up in the sky is going to be the third one when the lightning flashes. And again, you can't really skip this part, so just kind of bear with it as he talks really slow.
All stood in awe and wanted to crown him the... He refused the crown. Instead of tyranny, the Druid established the Peacekeeper's Guild to watch over the fragile peace of the 5 realms. Then, the Druid went into the sacred lake where, as he would wait for his successor.
Okay, once you're ready, hit X to continue, and we'll move on to the next little puzzle. So once again, we are looking for the little symbol on the scroll, which is going to be this little flower here. So to get started, on the right side of this big giant pearl, go ahead and click on the vines to move them, and the symbol is going to be underneath. And now we need 2 outside objects to actually get the last 2. So on the right hand side, pick up this little spear / harpoon thing, and then use it on the starfish on the left hand side, and that will reveal the next symbol. And then down in the center is going to be this hand holding a pearl. Pick up the pearl and use it on the clam on the right hand side, and when it closes you'll see the third symbol. And once again, there's going to be some dialogue here that you can't skip, so just bear with it. We'll move on once it's done.
Righteousness for all those who would try to visit him. Many tried to pass the seal, but only few were deemed worthy.
Okay, so hit X to continue. And now we're going to be looking for this little diamond / blade looking symbol here. So the first one is going to be on the right little statue directly in front of you. And then the second one, you're going to pull the sword out of the right rock over here, and when the dust settles, the blade will be sitting on top of the rocks. And then the third one, you're going to grab the spear that the left statue is holding and use it on this little shadowy figure with the red eyes. And then the blade's going to be right behind that. So once you get that, again, just go through the dialogue. We can't skip this part, so just wait it out.
But none managed to overcome him. Therefore, we placed maps to the lake inside every Druid statue across the 5 realms, in hope that the chosen successor would reach the Druid's lake and receive the mighty staff.
Okay, and hit X to continue. And now we're done with that little part, no more waiting. Just make sure you click on the map to actually pick it up. So once you have the map, exit outside of the house. And you're going to use the map with Yum Yum. And you're going to head on over to the lake now. So this next little mini game is actually going to be pretty simple. At each little fork in the road, we're going to do a 3-piece little hidden object puzzle that's going to highlight the correct path that we need to go. So on the first one, just go ahead and click on the question mark. And in the top left corner, it's letting us know what we need to find. So a fish, a statue, and a gem. The fish is going to be on the left-hand side. Just click on those leaves to reveal it, and then click on the fish to collect it. And then just right of the center, you're going to click on the tree to reveal the statue. So click on that to pick it up. And then on the far right, you're going to interact with the leaves on the tree to reveal the gem. And then once you pick that up, the correct path will highlight, which is going to be straightforward. So click on the highlighted path. And we're going to do that again with the next fork. So click on the question mark. And the 3 items we have are a star, an eagle, and an eye. So the star is going to be up in the sky in the center. Click on the cloud to move it and pick up the star. And then the eagle is going to be on the left-hand side. Interact with the tree to move it, and then click on the eagle. And then the eye is going to be on the mountains on the right-hand side. Interact with that first little small mountain to reveal the eyeball. And then once again, select the highlighted path, which is going to be the left one. And we're going to do it again at the next fork. So click on the question mark. And now we have a plant, a rune, and a lightning bolt of some sort. Oh, that's an arrow. Excuse me. A plant. All right, so the arrow is going to be just on the left here. Interact with the plant to move it out of the way, and then pick up the arrow. And then the rune is going to be on the right-hand side, so interact with this little purple plant here, and then interact with the rune. And then the lightning bolt is going to be on the pathway. Interact with the wooden plank on just to the left of center, and that'll reveal the lightning bolt. So interact with the lightning bolt, and then select the highlighted pathway, which is going to be the one leading to the right. And we're going to do one more, so click on the question mark. And now we need to find a staff, a conch shell, and an oar. So the staff is going to be on the right-hand side, leaning against this tree. Interact with the bushes to move them so you can pick it up. The shell is going to be on the road. Interact with this rock down here on the right, and then it's going to reveal the shell. So pick up the shell. And then the oar is actually going to be this road sign. If you click on it, the signs will actually fall off, revealing the oar. So go ahead and pick that up. And then interact with the highlighted path, which is the one leading forward, and that'll finish up that little part. So now we're going to go to the next little roadblock, where we're going to do some more hidden object puzzles.
Don't go near it.
Okay, so first things first, you are going to pick up the next egg, which is going to be on top of the carriage on the right-hand side. It's this blue turquoise looking thing, so make sure you pick that up before we go any further. And then you're going to talk to the gentleman that is on the ground over here and just exhaust all of his dialogue. And then you're going to pick up a couple of objects from him. You're going to pick up a recipe out of his pocket and a key off of his little chain around his neck. So once you have those, you're going to interact with the glowing part on the carriage over here. This is going to be the next hidden object puzzle. So go ahead and walk up to it and interact with the door to open it. We can get this going, and we're going to find 12 mushrooms in this area. Some of them are pretty well hidden, so if you're having trouble finding them, I don't blame you. Some of them are, again, just really hard to see. So we're going to go from left to right, and then on the bottom shelf, right to left. So starting in the top left, there's going to be a red mushroom just below the clock here. And then if you go over just a little to the right, hanging in the center, is the spatula that has a mushroom imprint on it. So click on the spatula. And then just to the right of that, where this thread spool is hanging down, there is a golden mushroom on top of that. So interact with that to pick it up. And then just to the right is this little mushroom figurine. So grab that. And then just below that is a blue mushroom. hanging outside or hanging on the wall of this little cupboard. So pick up the blue mushroom, and then just to the right of that is a yellow mushroom out in the grass. Make sure you pick that one up as well. And now we're going to make our way a little back to the left. So first, you are going to pick up the little portobello mushroom inside of this apple barrel here. And then you're going to pick up this little weight that is on this paper, and you're going to put it on the scale on the top left-hand shelf of this little cupboard thing. I'm still not really sure what to call these, so we're just going to keep calling them things. And as you can see, that opened up a little bowl with a key. So pick up the key that's inside the bowl, use it on the lock on the bottom right-hand side, and there's going to be a mushroom inside, so pick up the mushroom. And then down on the bottom left is a little watering can. Pick up the watering can and use it on the pot on the right-hand side of this little table, and it's going to grow a mushroom for you, so make sure you pick up that mushroom. And now we need to get the mushroom that is inside this barrel on the right-hand side, and to do so we need to light this little firework here. So on the far left-hand side where we picked up that key, just to the left of there is a match. Pick up the match and use it on the little piece of dynamite / firework, not really sure what to call it, and a little mushroom cloud will appear. So click on the mushroom cloud, and now we have 2 more, and they're actually going to be in the same spot. So we need to rebuild a little picture showing 2 mushrooms, and it's got 3 pieces. The first piece is on the top right-hand side of the wall over here. Just go ahead and click on it, and you'll actually see the ranger elf person just behind it. And then on the left shelf, just underneath where we place that weight down, is another piece of the paper. So go ahead and click on that. And then just below these purple flowers here is going to be the 3rd piece. So click on that. And just make sure you click on both mushrooms in the picture to get them to count. Okay, and interact with the mushroom to actually add it into your inventory. And now we're going to go ahead and make a little tranquilizer potion to calm this deer down. Alright, and to do so, you're going to walk up to the side of the wagon over here now, and you're going to place that key that he gave you. Well, he didn't really give it to you, you more of stole it, but place the key inside this gap, and basically you need to match up the ends of the legs so that they match the symbols on the outside of the circle. So, just need to switch. So again, like the top one has 2 prongs, the next one down has 1 prong, and then square, and you just need to make sure the symbols match. So on the left side, switch the top and the bottom, and then switch the 2nd and the 3rd. And then once everything is aligned, they will be lit up when they're in the correct location. So interact with the spider, and that will unlock the little door. And zoom in on the side of the carriage again, and you're just going to use the sleeping brew instructions on the little table here, and go ahead and zoom in on them so you know what we're going to be looking for. So we need to grind up the mushroom, kind of add the mushroom to a mixture, and stick it on a little dart with a blow dart gun. So to get the dart and the blow dart gun, you're going to interact with the box up here, kind of bottom lower left shelf, and inside are going to be both pieces. So make sure you pick up the gun as well as the dart. And then on the grinder, you're going to use the mushroom, and then put the ground up mushroom into the bowl just to the left of it, and then pick up the flask and use that on the bowl as well. And this will give you a nice little tranquilizer mixture. And you're going to use the blow dart on the actual mixture itself to put it on the arrowhead, and interact with that to add it to your inventory. And now you're going to shoot the reindeer, because of course. So use the sleeping set on the reindeer, and you want to hit it when the little circle is green, and that'll send it going.
Well done. Great shot. You run along. I'll take care of the creature.
Okay, and now we're going to exit to the lake itself. and the first thing we're going to do when we get here is collect the next egg, which is going to be in the tree on the left-hand side. It is brown, so it kind of matches with the branches over here, so just make sure you get it before moving on. And that's going to be egg number 8 for those keeping track. And then once you have that, go ahead and click on the boat in the middle of the lake, and a little cutscene will happen, but you can go ahead and skip that. It's not necessary to actually watch. And then once the cutscene is done, interact with the wagon on the right-hand side, and then pick up the red sheet that is covering it. And also inside are going to be 6 little puzzle pieces that you need to pick up. They are kind of hard to see because they kind of blend in with everything, but just make sure you pick up all 6 before leaving this area. 4, 5, 6, perfect. Alright, so exit out of the wagon, and go ahead and zoom in on the cabin that's on the left-hand side. Open up your inventory with L2 or R2 and zoom in on the sheet rope. And you're just going to interact with this until it actually turns into a rope. And then use that on the hole in the roof. Interact with it once to actually hang it down. But before you go down, just to the right of the sheet rope is a little boat. Pick up the boat before you go down. It'll actually zoom you back out, so just zoom back into the cabin. And then you'll be inside. So before we do anything, we're going to pick up the next coin, which is going to be on the right-hand side, just below this glass bottle here. This is going to be coin number 9 out of 20. And once you have that, interact with the glass bottle that is just above it, just to the left of the candle. And when that crashes, another little boat is going to appear, so make sure you pick that up. And then on the left wall, there's going to be a grappling hook connected to the wooden planks. Just interact with those a couple of times to actually break the wall down, and you'll get the grappling hook put into your inventory. And where that wall was is now a little sparkly area, letting you know that there's a hidden object puzzle here. So walk up to it, and we're going to complete this little puzzle. Okay, and this is similar to one that we did before, where it's going to show us the pictures that we need to collect instead of the actual words. And I'm not even going to pretend to know what half this stuff is, so apologies if my explanations are a little funky. I don't know what else to do. So we're going to start with the right hand side, and this is going to be 2 bolts, 1 metal piece, and 1 little metal square. So the bolts, the first one, we are going to need the fork that's on the top shelf, and we're going to go just to the left of the crate down at the bottom and use that on the mousetrap. And then pick up the bolt that was inside the mousetrap. And then the other bolt is in the glass container on the right hand side. I don't know what's floating in there. I don't want to know what's floating in there. All I know is that this little bolt is in there and we need it. Just, ugh. I don't want to know. So the metal device that I don't know the name of it is on the left hand side inside the little crocodile's mouth. So pick that up to grab it. And then the little square piece is on the top shelf, just to the left of the little fish skeleton. So go ahead and pick that up. And then the next one I'm going to do is going to be the far left items, which again, I have no idea what the names of these are. I do apologize for that. I wish I could be of more assistance in that regards, but we're just going to wing it. So the item with the teeth on it is going to be on the right hand side, just below the jar with the scorpion. And then as you can see, the little circular piece is blue, which means we have to do something to actually reveal it. So on the top right shelf, on the top shelf on the right is a little box with a golden emblem on it. And inside there is actually going to be the circle piece. And then we have a little lever of sorts, and that's going to be on the middle shelf on top of this lantern. And then we have this metal bar, which is going to be on the middle shelf, just below this little wooden basket here, just to the right of the 3 heads. So now we're going to build our little crossbow, which is the central piece. And the first piece is going to be just above the left corner of this wooden crate. And then we actually need to open up the wooden crate to get inside. So the crowbar is going to be just behind the glass bars here. It's a little hard to see, it's red and kind of blends in with the net, but once you have it, open up the little crate. And we're going to pick up the other piece that's inside. And now we need a rope and a wooden plank. So to get that, we need to get rid of this necklace up here in the top left. So in the bottom right, grab that dagger and just cut the rope with the necklace. And then grab the rope, and the plank is immediately to the left of it. So that will finish off the crossbow, and then once it appears, just interact with it to add it to your inventory. And before we leave this room, we're going to interact with the cupboard over here with the stone doors. Just zoom in on those, and then you're going to use both little boat pieces that we've picked up to unlock the door. And wait for those to go. Alright, once inside, pick up the 2 oars. And that's all we need out of here, so we can exit out back to the lake. Alright, so now you're going to add the grappling hook to the crossbow. So open up your inventory with L2 or R2, and then zoom in on the crossbow. And then hit square, and go ahead and add the grappling hook. And then once that's done, use that device on the boat in the center of the lake, and just make sure you shoot it when the little target is green, and that'll pull it to shore. And then zoom in on the boat. And you're just going to click around and pick up a few things. The main one is going to be this little blanket here, and then the scuba diving helmet, and then the rope. And there's also going to be 2 more puzzle pieces that you need to grab. The first one is in the top right hand of the boat, and the second one is in the grass just to the right of the boat. So that's going to give us all 8 puzzle pieces we need for the next part. So exit out of the boat, and then zoom in on the easel that is just to the right of the boat. And you're going to use all the puzzle pieces here, and you're just going to complete the puzzle as needed. So you can rotate the pieces if you need to using square, and then just place them down with X. Oops. Alright, and then once that's done, and go ahead and pick up the painting, and we're going to use this complete another puzzle here in a minute. And then once you have this, zoom in on the wooden cart, and then zoom in on that top panel with all the wood or golden bars up here. And you're going to use that picture that we just created with this little section. So each of these bars has 5 symbols on it, and you need to light up the correct symbol that matches the numbers shown. So the first one is going to be the scuba diving helmet, which is going to be that top symbol. So just keep interacting with the first bar until you get to the scuba diving helmet. And then the second bar is going to be a boot. So you want to interact with the second one until you're on the boot. And then the third one is going to be a boat. So interact with the third one until it's on the boat. And then go ahead and pick up the scuba diving suit that is inside. And now you're going to combine the suit with the helmet. So hit L2 or R2 and just scroll over to the diving suit and zoom in on it. And then use the scuba diving helmet on the suit, and this is going to complete that part. Alright, and once that's done, go ahead and add the hose to the scuba diving little outfit here. And then zoom in on the boat. And you're going to use the oars with the boat, and we're going to move on to the next part, which is going to be underwater. So this will finish off itself. Again, you can skip this cutscene if you want. It's completely up to you. But yeah, so you're going to end up underwater where the water life trophy is going to unlock. But once again, before we do anything, we're going to go through this little cutscene that you can actually skip. We're going to go ahead and do so. The next egg is just above the large pearl in the center. It's green. It kind of blends in with the stuff around it, so make sure you don't miss it. But yeah, pick up the egg before we even start, and then we can go ahead and get going. Okay, so interact with the little orange tubes that are on the right-hand side and pick up the coins that are between the tubes here. That's all we can do for now. Exit out. And now you're gonna zoom in on the left clam that is standing straight up over here, and just pick up the cloth that is just to the left on the ground, and zoom out of the little clam oyster thing. And then zoom in on the red one that is on the right hand side, and pick up that empty pouch that is inside its mouth, and exit out of the clam. And now we're gonna put the coins inside the bag. So open up your inventory and zoom in on the empty pouch, and then use the coins on the empty pouch to fill it up. And then zoom in on the little orange tubes again. And now you're going to use the full pouch as well as the old cloth. And then you're going to clog the other two pipes so that whatever is in the center bottom one is going to fly out. And this is going to be a little arrowhead. Okay, so once it lands, go ahead and pick that up. And we're going to head over back to the left clam that is standing straight up. And you're going to use the arrowhead on that clam. And you're going to pick up both flowers as well as the pearl that are over here. And then zoom in on the red clam on the right hand side. And you're going to use the pearl on this clam so it closes. And pick up the two little flowers that are behind it. So now we have all 4 flowers that we need to continue. So walk up to the big giant pearl in the center. And you're just going to place all 4 flowers so that they are in the corner. And for this puzzle, we need to create a line so that all 4 flowers are touching. Excuse me. So just keep turning the pieces until you get the right solution. And it's okay if this takes you a couple of tries. It's probably going to take me a few, to be honest. But I'll try to speed this up so it's not too daunting. Alright, so just keep going. Okay, and once all 4 are connected, it doesn't have to be like all 4 flowers connected with all 4 flowers. You just want one line so that it's touching each of them. But once that's done, it will create a portal so that we can move forward to the next little area. And you can skip this cutscene if you want. It's completely up to you. But we're going to go into the cave in the lake next, so go ahead and click on that to go inside. And again, you can skip the cutscene if you want. Okay, so to start, we are going to interact with the 2 statues on the left-hand side, and go ahead and pick up that bloody cloth that is on the spear that the left one is holding, and interact with that spear again, and it's going to drop and end up in your inventory. So exit out of here, and then you're going to use the spear on this little purple gem thing on the top left-hand side. And then once you do, 2 little gems are going to fall down. Make sure you pick up both of those. And then on the right-hand side, you're going to see a 3rd gem that is kind of hidden behind these rocks. So just interact with the rocks to knock them down, and then pick up the gem that appears. And then zoom in on the statues again, and then use the gems on their faces. And this will light up the room and give you the next way to go. But before we do, we are going to get another coin that has appeared. So just underneath the beams of light is another banner with a coin on top of it. Make sure you pick up that coin before we move forward. And then once you have it, interact anywhere with the newly opened bridge here. And basically here we're going to light ourselves a path all the way to the very end. You need to light it all up so that it's green. And no orange. If you hit an orange one, you're going to have to start over. It's not the end of the world if you do, to be honest. It's not going to like super penalize you or anything. You might have to go about like 1 or 2 steps, but again, it's not that bad. It is a little frustrating trying to click the right one and it's not clicking, but go. Okay, and that will complete the path that we need to move forward. Okay, before we click on the newly formed portal and shiny hidden object puzzle over here, we need to make a crystal first. So before walking up, you want to select where it says zoom right underneath the beams over here. And you're going to put in the bloody cloth. And then you're going to put the crystal shard on top of it. And go ahead and pick up that tinted crystal that appears. And now walk up to the little portal shiny area that we made earlier. And you're going to use that tinted crystal on this part here. And just spam X as you go around. The object is to find all of the symbols shown down below on the bar, but due to the nature of this puzzle, it's probably just a lot quicker if you spam cross and just look all the way across the little puzzle. Alright, see if we can find the last two. There's one. There's the other. Okay. And then once his little mouth opens, we can go ahead and interact with there and zoom in on the side. And as before, you can skip this little cutscene here if you want. It's up to you. It's not required. But before we do anything, we're going to pick up our 10th egg, and it's going to be over here on the left side of the room, just by this little cane here. Make sure you grab it before we move on to do anything else. And we're going to go ahead and go into the Druid's room all the way in the back. And you can skip this little cutscene here. And we're going to pick up our 11th coin in this room, and it's going to be on the left-hand side, just to the right of this little gargoyle statue. So make sure you grab that before we do anything. And you want to zoom in on the potion cabinet on the left-hand side of the room. And we can't really do anything with the door just yet, but there is a bag hanging on the left-hand side that has a little diamond symbol on it. Interact with the bag twice, and you're going to get yourself a little diamond. And then exit out of the Druid's cave. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, exit out of the Druid's cave. And then this large ice glass sculpture that's just in front of you, just to the right of where the entrance to the cave was. Zoom in on that, and you're going to use the diamond on the ice, and this is going to shatter it. And then once you can, pick up the gauntlet that is on the right-hand side. And there's also a rune here, but we can't pick that up just yet because our spell book is full, but we'll be coming back and getting that here in a second. So exit out of that little area and go back to the Druid's room. And now zoom in on the fire. And there's a really hot kettle here that we need, but we can't pick it up with our bare hands, so you're going to use that red gauntlet that you just picked up to grab it. So once you have the kettle, exit away from the fire and go to the top of the stairs and just zoom in on that area. And you're going to use the kettle on the ice blocks on the left-hand side to break them. And just pick up the ice chunk. And there's going to be a rune underneath that we can't grab just yet. But again, we'll be getting that here in a minute. And just to the left of that is a little hand piece. Make sure you grab that. It is quite well hidden and hard to see, so really easy to miss. But once you have the hand piece, exit out of the little top area. And then we're going to zoom back in on the fire. And you're just going to place that ice block on the fire. And then pick up the other hand piece that is inside underneath the little grate. And there is another rune here that we will be coming back to pick up because once again, our spellbook is full and we can't get that just yet. So exit out of the fire. And then exit out of the Druid's cave. And then we're just going to zoom on the wall that is to the right of where that ice pillar was, kind of where these curtains are hanging down. And then you're going to place both hands on the painting. And then go ahead and pick up the key, as well as the spell kit. So now we can go pick up those runes that we missed along the way because we just didn't have any room for them. So the first one is going to be an ice pillar. Go ahead and zoom in, and on his chest piece is going to be the rune. And then go back into the Druid's room, and then zoom in on the fire and pick up the rune that is just beneath the grate. And then zoom in on the stairs, like that little top part, and pick up the rune that was by the ice block. And then zoom in on the potion cabinet again. And now we do have the little infinity key that is needed to open this. So use the key. And as you can see, it's all glowy now, letting us know that there is a hidden object puzzle here. So walk up to the potion cabinet, and we're just going to complete this puzzle. So this is another find and use puzzle, which means we need to find the items to use within the picture and use them within the picture. So the first one is going to be a set of tongs, which is going to be on the right shelf, the bottom right shelf, excuse me, and then a little pick, which is going to be hanging from the bag on the left hand side. So first you're going to use the pick on this large red ruby on the top right shelf, and that's going to give us a little heart-shaped crystal, and you're going to use that heart-shaped crystal on the wall of the bottom shelf where that little heart imprint is. And then once that disappears, on the left, just to the left of that, is going to be a key and a purple crystal. So make sure you pick up both of those. And then with the key, we're going to go up to the top shelf and use that on the book. And then you're going to pick up the matches as well as this little red flower that is just to the right of it. Okay, and we also need a handle to use this little grinder here, and that handle is actually in the ice block on the bottom shelf on the left hand side. Go ahead and pick up that ice block, and it's automatically going to put it in the bowl or pot, whatever you want to call it. And then the burner down at the bottom, use the match on it to melt the ice. And then we're just going to grab that little handle. It's going to let me. Oh, excuse me. We're going to use the tongs to grab the handle because it's too hot. All right, so pick it up once it's not inside the hot water. And we also need a spoon, which is going to be just behind the grinder on the right of the bottom shelf. So grab the spoon. And then you're going to put the purple crystal inside the grinder here, and then use the handle on the top, and it's automatically going to turn it into some fine powder. So grab the powder as well as the little valve that were in the drawer that opened, and you're going to use the valve on the beaker on the top left shelf. And then once that's placed, go ahead and use the red flower just underneath the little spout. And we're going to go ahead and change the color of the little flower that we had, so pick those up. And now you're going to place the ground up purple crystal inside the little pot, and then the flowers inside the little pot. And now you're going to use the spoon and fill up this vial just to the left of it, and then pick up the vial, and we will be done with this little part. So interact with the healing potion to actually pick it up, and then exit out of this room. And you're going to interact with the man that is laying down over here, and go ahead and use the healing potion on him to wake him up. And this is going to be another little hidden object puzzle, except he's going to yell the item that you need to find. So Iris is his wife, so the picture of his wife on the chair on the right hand side. And then note is the word that he yelled that time, so we're going to be looking for a note, which is going to be this paper just to the right of where left of where the picture was, with a little spider on it. And then the next word is burn, so we're looking for things that burn, aka fire. So you're going to click on the candle in the top left corner.
Hell, King wasn't heavily guarded only during his visits to his late wife's grave.
And then the next word is wife, so you're going to click on her grave, which is the one with a little blue picture on there.
My black arrow.
And then arrow, so click on the arrow on the bow and arrow.
Shouted, human assassin! I escaped.
And then human is the next word, but he does kind of talk a lot before we can actually click on the human head, so let's kind of skip this through. Okay, and then click on the human head that is on the right hand side.
In the staff was a map to the lake, but the kidnapper followed me.
Alright, and then the kidnapper is going to be the next word, and he's standing up on the cliff on the right hand side.
He said, only the Druid can save you now.
And the next word is Druid, and it's actually going to be the face in the mountains on the left-hand side over here. So the eyes and the beard, just click on that and it'll change. And then the next word is paddled, and it's going to be the paddle that is in the water. But again, he kind of talks a lot here. So click on the paddle. And you can go ahead and skip this cutscene. And there's going to be a rune that appears on the back wall. Interact with that to pick it up. And now we can go ahead and make our next little spell. So hit down on the D-pad. And then just click the book on the top to turn the page. And as you can see, we need a new symbol with a new little color vial. So click on all 4 runes that are showing on the left-hand side. And that will complete that picture. And now we need the light green vial, which is going to be the bottom left vial, and put that on the picture to create the actual spell. And then zoom in on the druid on the left-hand side and talk to him and just exhaust all of this dialogue here. You can actually just skip the cutscene, but you want to pick up the key and the little strange device out of his hand and then exit out. And we're going to head back into the druid's room, and we can interact with this back wall that is now glowing, and this will unlock the clear sight trophy once this little part is done. So you can skip this cutscene if you want. It's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and do so. And then once we're in the new area, we're going to go ahead and pick up the next egg, and this is going to be the 11th egg, and it's just to the right of this broken ladder, just underneath this globe piece. Make sure you grab that before we do anything. And then once you have it, zoom in on the chest on the right-hand side, and you're going to use the key that the druid gave you earlier to unlock the chest. And in here, you're just going to keep clicking around until you get a parchment paper, which was that piece right there. And you're also going to be looking for 3 wooden rungs. So let's see, 1, 2, and then 3. Okay, so once you have all those, it'll automatically zoom you out of the chest, but if you look at it again, it's nice and glowy, letting you know that there is a hidden object puzzle here. So walk up to the chest and we'll get this completed. And all the pieces you need are shown down on the bottom, listed in word form. So to find these, we're just going to go down each row, make sure we got them both. So for the peacekeeper symbols, the first one is going to be on the left-hand side, just to the left of this little blue gem here. And then the second piece is going to be all the way on the right-hand side. And it's going to be kind of by this antler that's leaning up against the right wall. So make sure you grab that. And then the magic wand is going to be on the left-hand side. It's going to be this large stick with the little bluish purplish gem on the end of it. And then the arrowhead, we actually need to move something because it's in blue. So towards the center is this giant leaf covering this bowl. Move the leaf to reveal the arrowhead. And then the screwdriver is going to be just below the Joker card in this book. Just click it to get it. And then the round key is going to be just above the Joker card. It's going to be this little circular object sticking out of the scroll. So make sure you grab that. And then the protractor is a little hidden, but it's not super hidden. Just on the bottom, kind of towards the left. Interact with the music sheet to move it, and the protractor is going to be underneath. And then we need 2 horses. The first one is going to be in the top right corner. It's going to be this green horse that's leaning against the wall. And the second one is a little hidden, kind of hard to see. So where this little sword shaft is with the red ball, just below that is going to be the second horse. Again, really hard to see, can't really tell that's what it is, but if you need it, it's there. So next is the warrior. So we're going to go up to the top left, and he's actually going to be this little statue here. You may have the feather instead of the warrior. It kind of varies between those two, so if you have the feather, it's the one that's just to the right of that little warrior statue. So depending on which one you get is depending on which one you will actually click on. So for the sword, we're going to go back to the Joker card, and then just click on the sword that's behind it. And now for the acorn, we're actually going to click the Joker card, and that'll reveal the acorn. And then the moon is on the green book, just above where the acorn was. And the bell is directly front and center next to the globe that was housing the protractor. So just click on that to collect it, and that'll finish up this part. And just interact with the round key to actually add it to your inventory. And now zoom in on the ladder on the left-hand side, and we're going to use those planks to rebuild the ladder. And just zoom in on the area on the top. And now we're going to combine some items in our inventory. So Hit L2 or R2 to open up your inventory and zoom in on the round box. And now you're going to use the round key on the round box. And go ahead and pick up the brush and the little scalpel that's inside. And now we're going to combine some more items. So open up your inventory and zoom in on the filled papyrus. And now you're gonna use the little scraper on the papyrus itself. And then use the little brush on the papyrus as well, and this will clean it up. So make sure you pick it up to actually put it in your inventory. And now you're gonna use that clean piece of papyrus on the top rock up here with all these little symbols and everything. So go ahead and stick that up there. And magic will fill it in. So ignore these portals that just appeared in this room here. We'll be coming back to do that shortly. So for now, exit out of this room. And exit out of this room back to the Druid. Zoom in on the Druid, and we're going to go ahead and talk to him, but use the map first.
Them woes.
And you can't skip this part, so just kind of go with it. And as you can see now, he is all glowy, so walk up to him once he is. And here we're going to find another line of like outlined objects down on the bar, so you can just keep clicking around if you want. It's kind of up to you. I would do these in order, but it's going to be kind of hard for me, so I'm just going to do some magic circling video editing to show you where everything is. So everything is visible. You don't need to actually move anything to collect anything, so just go through the map and select everything you need. Okay, and once that's done, interact with the staff location to add it to your inventory.
As soon as I can.
And now we're going to go back to the Druid's room and back into the secret chamber. And now we're just going to use the staff location with the portal on the back wall. And you can skip this cutscene here if you want. I'm just going to go ahead and do so. And now we're going to get yelled at by the reindeer yelling at us, "Goggles, the goggles." So once you're outside of the house here, first thing we're going to do is pick up the 12th coin, and that's going to be on the left-hand side, just next to the tree, in this little wooden bundle of sorts. I'm not really sure what's that on exactly. And there's also going to be a rune on the ground just in front of the house, so make sure you pick that up. And now zoom in on the man that is laying on the ground, and you're just going to interact with his face until you get his goggles. And when you look through them, you will see that the reindeer is actually his wife, which is interesting in its own way. So once you have that, go ahead and zoom in on the window just to the left of the front door on the house. And we can't do anything with the lock just yet, but pick up the knife handle that is on the little windowsill and back out. And now you want to interact with the bottom left-hand corner of the porch just to the left of the door. And here it's kind of hard to see, but between the two metal bindings, I guess, there is a blade stuck in the top of the wood up here, so you need to use the knife handle on that blade to pull it out. And then once you have that, exit out, and then walk up to the back of the wagon. And you're going to use the knife on the rope to open this up. And once again, we have another little hidden object puzzle, and here you're just going to find all the items listed. I'm going to do that super cool movie magic and just highlight them for you here so you can see them. For the most part, they're pretty straightforward. Just start collecting them as you go. There are a few that you need to do a little extra to actually get. I will show you those here in a second. Okay, so the first one is going to be the bear trap. You need the wooden spoon that is on the top right shelf to go ahead and use that. And then you can pick up the piece that is underneath it. And then there's going to be a piece inside the clock. So on the top left shelf is a little clock hand. Put it back onto the clock, and out will pop another piece. And there's a little wooden music box down here with a broken handle on the left-hand side. Click on that broken handle to pull it out. And then on the far right-hand side, underneath these pink flowers, is going to be another crank handle. Pick that up and use it on the music box. And inside will be another piece. And now we need to move this little knight guy here, but in order to do so, we need a key. And the key is actually just to the left inside of the bowl here. It's this little copper key. So use that on the knight and he'll skedaddle out of the way so you can pick up the piece behind him. And then there's also a piece inside of this glass jar. To break the glass jar, pick up the hammer that is on the table, kind of on the bottom center, and just use that on the jar to smash it. And then you can pick up that piece. And there's going to be a piece in the net on the top right hand side, and that will finish up two out of the 3 pieces. And then just open up the drawer on the bottom right hand side to pick up the final piece. There we go. Wasn't gonna let me. So once you have all 3, that will combine and give you a mechanical brain. So interact with that to put it in your inventory. And now you're going to zoom back in on the porch corner, kind of where we picked up that blade, and you're going to put that mechanical brain on this little lock piece here, and this is going to open up the little crate. So pick up the 2 blue gems, and then pick up the drill, and you're going to zoom back in on the window just to the right of the front door, and you're going to use the hand drill on the lock to open it up. And we're going to head inside Crank's house. So again, before we do anything, we do have another coin to pick up. On the left-hand side, on the stack of books over here, is the 13th coin, so make sure you grab that before doing anything else. And we're just going to walk up to the door on the top of the stairs. So make sure it's the one with a little color on it. You can see from here, not the one that's open, but the one with the color symbols. So here we need to place the blue gems, and we're going to start another little puzzle here, and you basically need to move the gems so that they are in the corresponding gauntlet of the color gems they are. So the purple gems go in the purple eyes, the green gems go in the green eyes, red and red, blue and blue. Now if you do this and it still doesn't move you forward, just keep switching the same color gems back and forth on each gauntlet until it lets you go forward. And once you do, as you can see, the door has opened up and is now all super glowy, letting us know that there is a hidden object puzzle here. So walk up to it, and we're going to collect 12 axes. So once again, I'm just going to circle them on the screen so that you can see them, and just go around the room and start collecting them. And you can read this piece of paper if you want. Well, you do need to because there is an axe on it. So click on the axe. And then take this hammer and just smash the shield that the armor guy is wearing. And there's going to be a shield just behind him, so make sure you pick that up. And there's going to be one in the antlers, and there's also one in the rightmost banner. This little axe that's in the actual picture itself. And then if you interact with the cannon on the left-hand side, one is going to pop out. There's going to be one directly in front of it, and that'll finish that up. So interact with the axe to actually add it to your inventory. And we're just going to head right on back outside and zoom in on the side of the carriage over here on the right-hand side, and use the axe on the wooden planks to get inside of the carriage. And then once those are broken, I'll zoom you back out, but go ahead and zoom into Crank's carriage. And we're going to grab the 14th coin before we do anything. So on the right hand side, just underneath this bell, behind the little green jar, is going to be the coin. So make sure you pick that up before we do anything else. And go ahead and pick up the red cloth that is sitting on the left hand side, and underneath is going to be a skeleton that you're going to kind of freak out on, but zoom in on the skeleton and pick up the shield. And we're going to exit out of this area, out of the carriage, and head back inside the house. And now you're going to interact with the doorway on the top with the two skeletons, and then use the shield on the left skeleton. And that's going to reveal a rune that you can pick up, so make sure you pick that up. And then go ahead and enter the special room that we can now go inside. And before we do anything, we're going to pick up another coin. So on the right hand side, just underneath this white sheet hanging down, is going to be coin number 15. Make sure you grab that before you do anything else. And then just zoom in on the area with the wheel and the barrel across the room. We can't do anything with the vase just yet, but go ahead and pick up this little, oh, what would you even call this thing? Metal rasp, I think is what she called it. So yeah, just pick up that little item and zoom out. And then you're going to zoom in on the green crystals with the sword and just start clicking anywhere and everywhere until a cage drops on it. And then once that does, exit out of this room, exit out of the house, and then go back inside the carriage and zoom back in on the skeleton. And here we are going to use that metal rasp to break his little rib cage, so use that on the left hand side. And you're going to pick up the little faucet valve handle thing, as well as the key that is inside the broken rib cage piece. And once you have both of those, back out of the carriage. And we're going to go back inside the house, and then back up to the special room. And on the left hand side of the room, you're going to see this spider lock sort of thing just under this gear here. So use the key on the lock. And the cage in the center will attempt to open, but then it will fail. And as you can see, the sheet on the right hand side has moved, but before we go over there, go ahead and zoom in on the wheel and the barrel just across the room again. And you're going to use the faucet valve on the barrel of wine. Interact with the valve and fill the vase below, and then once that's full, make sure you pick up the vase. And before we leave, we are going to zoom in on the newly opened right hand side where that sheet was, and go ahead and interact with the sheet again to pick it up. And now we need to place the gears down in the correct order so that they are all spinning. So going from right to left, we are going to go third from the right, which is the big kind of spiky looking gear, and just place that on the far right knob. And the next one we place down is going to be the next big one. So 3 from the left is going to be, it's 3-pronged, it's kind of got the circular center. I'm not exactly sure how to describe that, but from here we are going to grab one of the small ones, which is on the right hand side, and just place that on the one just above the big gear that we just placed. And then the one to the top left is going to be the last big gear that we have. So place that on the top left part. And then the next one is going to be the 2 medium and the final small. So the first medium, place it on the next little nubbin, and then a small one. And then on the far left is going to be the last medium piece. That's going to get everything going. I love that animation style. I can't get enough of it. So once you have those, go ahead and exit out of the room. And then exit out of the house, and then back into the carriage, and zoom in on the skeleton. And you're going to go ahead and use that vase with the tar. I said wine earlier, but it's tar. Use that on the backbone of the skeleton, and then use the clean cloth. And this is going to get you a little key code. So once you have that, exit out of the carriage, and then go back into the house, and then back up to the secret room. And go ahead and click on the spider key and lock combination again, and now the cage will open up all the way. So zoom in on the crystals and just go ahead and use that decoder that we just made on the crystals, and you need to click them going up to down in the correct order. So it's going to be the 3 lines and then the L with the dot kind of shape and then the U with the dot kind of shape. So once that's done, we're going to pick up 3 things. First is going to be the sword. Then just underneath the sword was a rune. Make sure you grab that. And there's also a little green gem on the left-hand side that you need to pick up. And that one is really easy to miss, so make sure you do not leave without it. And then once you have all 3, go ahead and exit out of the house, and we're going to go back into the carriage. And now we need a silver sword and a gold sword. So you actually already have the silver one. We just picked that up. So to get the gold one, open up your inventory and zoom in on the broken shield. And as you can see, there's a gold sword piercing it. Just interact with that a couple of times to loosen it. And then on the far side of the room, there is a wall with 2 knights kind of kneeling down. Zoom in on that wall, and you're going to use the gold sword on the left side and the silver sword on the right side. And then pick up the rune that is on the box inside. And we can't really do anything else just yet, but we can make another spell. So go ahead and hit down on the D-pad to open up your spell book and interact with the tiny little book on the top to get the next little symbol and color that we need. And click on all 4 of the runes that are shown, and that will recreate the little symbol. And now we need the pinkish purplish little vial, and that's going to be the top right one. So put that on the little symbol, and this will give you the next spell. So once you have that, exit out, and we're going to go back into Crank's house. Oh, excuse me. No, we're going to stay outside. Apologies. So interact with the reindeer that is next to the carriage. And you can go ahead and skip this cutscene if you want. And here we need to make a path so that all the circles are lit no more than once. You can't cross the same little section more than once. So to start, just go all the way down at the left-hand side. Then keep following the line all the way down on the bottom. Go up once, back to the left twice, up once, right once, up once, left once, and then just finish off the little hook on the top. And that will cast that little spell. And again, you can skip all this dialogue if you want, but she's going to give you a crank, so make sure you pick that up before you leave.
My poor, faithful Rota.
And skip all this dialogue, and then head into Crank's house. And you're going to zoom in on the left wall over here where this table is. It's kind of hard to see, but it's just to the right of where that spider painting is. So zoom in on that, and you're going to use the green crystal in this large funnel here on the right-hand side. And you're going to use the crank handle on this little half circle down on the bottom and interact with it to turn the grinder on, and we're going to get some green dust. So once that's done, go ahead and pick it up. And we're going to exit back outside and head back into the carriage. And over on the right-hand wall, we're going to put that green dust on that book that we just found. And we're going to go through another series of little find the 3 hidden symbols and then move on. So this first one, it's going to be spiders. So to get the spiders, interact with the spider web on the statue. And then interact with the leaves just to the left of the kids. And interact with the purple shadowy flower that the guy on the right is holding. And that'll be the 3rd spider. And you can skip all this dialogue and hit X to continue. So now we need to find this little rune symbol. I'm not exactly sure what else to call that. So to start, interact with the window and that will appear. Then interact with the book that the guy is holding and the next one will appear. And you're just going to interact with the books on the left-hand side of the little shelf and the 3rd one will appear. And again, you can go ahead and skip the dialogue and hit X to continue. And now we're going to look for this little face little wizard face, if you will. So the first one is going to be in the mountains, so interact with the mountain, and it's going to be behind there. And then just below that, there's going to be a statue that is covered in grass. Interact with the statue, and the face will appear. And then just to the right of that is a little lantern. Interact with the lantern, and the face will appear just below it. And as before, you can skip this dialogue and hit X to continue. And now we have one final one, so we're going to look for this little rune symbol. And this one requires just a little bit of extra to get. So the first one, interact with the statue hand, and it will appear. Then you want to pick up the hammer and use it on the rocks just above this little door, and that will reveal the next symbol. And then you want to pick up the little shield and use it on the waterfall coming out of his mouth, and that will reveal the third symbol. And as before, you can skip the dialogue and then hit X to continue, and just pick up the secret diary page. And before we do anything, we're going to go ahead and read that page. So open up your inventory and zoom in on the map, and then interact with it to open it up. And you're going to use the feather on the right hand side. So that eagle feather that you picked up earlier is finally getting put to use. And then once it's clear, once you get your little cursor back, alright, there we go. Interact with the rock face to get that map. So once you have that, exit out of the carriage. And you're going to talk to the woman that just appeared here and go ahead and exhaust all the dialogue with her and use the map with her so that we can move on to the next part. And as before, you can skip this scene if you want. It's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and do so. And then once you arrive at the new rocky area, we're going to pick up the next coin, which is going to be number 16. So just to the bottom of the hand on the right hand side is going to be the coin. So go ahead and pick that up before moving on. And then you're going to zoom in on the door on the top of the stairs. And just click the stones once to reveal that it's a spell. And then click on them again to actually remove the boulders out of the way. Okay, and then pick up the shield. And then go ahead and back out. And just as we did with that little hidden object puzzle, you're going to use the shield on the waterfall. And that will stop the water from coming down and open up a nice little section. And just as you can see, it's all shiny, letting you know that there is a hidden object puzzle. So walk up to the new area. And as before, there's a whole line of items that we need to find listed down at the bottom. So let's just go through them. The first one is going to be the golden hair comb, which is just in the middle center with the little hearts on it. So go ahead and grab that. And then the hammer handle is just going to be barely up and to the left, leaning against the wall. It kind of looks like Thor's hammer handle, so grab that. And as you can see, the music notes are blue, so that means they're going to be hidden. This little music box down on the bottom left. Interact with the crank to open up the box, and the notes are going to appear, so just click on them all. Alright, and then the elven helmet, as you can see, is blue, so we need to do a little extra in order to get it. And just let you know, it is this one right here, but if you try to click on it right now, it's going to tell you, oh, this requires extra feathers, so we need to get the feathers first. And those are all the way on the left-hand side in this little broken branch over here. So pick those up, put them on the helmet, and then interact with the helmet to pick it up. And then the tuning fork is going to be on the left-hand side, just above this little grass brush thing. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but yeah, so there's the tuning fork. And then the archer's hat is going to be basically Robin Hood's hat, which is hanging on this little stick right here with the red feather sticking out of it. And then the red gem, the heart gem, as you can see, is blue. So we need to do a little extra for this one as well. So you're going to pick up both of these red crystals. One is in the back, against the back wall, and the other one is leaning against this helmet up front. And just put those both on the golden box just to the right. And inside is going to be the heart gem. So next is the diamond, and this one is a little misleading. It's not an actual object, it's a picture. So on the back wall, kind of towards the top, you'll notice that there is an imprint of a diamond. Select that to get that one. And then the red rose is blue. It's not as hidden. You just have to click on it twice. So on the left-hand side, there is a skull with a rose in its mouth. Interact with it to open up the mouth, and then interact with it again to actually get the rose. And then the elf lady is inside this little golden chest that we opened. Click on the paper, and it's going to show you an image of an elf lady. So just interact with that to collect it. And then the lantern is going to be in the very back, just in front of the bow and arrow over here, just below where the diamond was. So interact with that. And then the bottle is going to be this purple bottle floating in the tambourine, kind of on the left-hand side. So interact with that to pick that up. And that'll finish up this little puzzle. So select the hammer handle to actually add it to your inventory. And now we're going to go ahead and recreate our hammer. So just to the right of the door at the top of the stairs, you can kind of zoom into this little bush. Go ahead and do so and use the hammer handle on the hammer head and interact with it again to pick it up. And also pick up the gauntlet that is just below it on the ground. Okay, and now zoom in on the hand on the right hand side. And you're going to use that gauntlet you just picked up on the vine that is hanging down. And then pick up the crossbow that is on the bottom of the vine. And then zoom back into the door at the top of the stairs. And as you can see, there are 3 missing pieces here: a crossbow, a hammer, and a little helmet. Go ahead and place the crossbow into the crossbow imprint. And as you can see, it shot the dragon on the right hand side of the door. And that dropped the helmet that we need for the left door. So pick up that helmet, place it in the little slot, and then place the hammer in the hammer slot, and this will open up this door for you. And go ahead and go through it, and we're going to go to the mountain hall. And on the right hand side, just underneath this pole, is going to be another little lamp, so pick that up and interact with the pole a couple of times to knock it loose. And you're going to go through a little bit of a cutscene here. You can skip it if you want, it's completely up to you. If you decide to, you'll be here. If not, you'll have to come back. So once the whole room is lit up, we're going to grab the next egg, which is going to be our 12th egg. And it's going to be on the left hand side at the bottom of these stairs up on this little ledge here. This little blue egg. So make sure you grab that before we continue on. And we're going to exit out of this room. And just walk up to the statue head that, as you can see, is glowing again. So this is going to be another little hidden object puzzle that we need to do. And we need to find 12 harpoons. And if you're looking at this right now, you'll see that there are no harpoons available. So to get them, this net hanging down on the top center, interact with this little wooden thing hanging out of it, and a dagger is going to fall. Pick up the knife, and then use it on the net just above, and all the harpoons are going to fall down on the ground. So make sure you pick up all 12. Oops. And just keep going around the room. And feel free to use any hints if you need to. You kind of had to see like where they actually fell in order to get them. I'm just gonna keep clicking around. And again, I'll light these up for you so you don't have to sit here clicking like I am. Alright, it's over there. Okay. So once you have all 12, interact with the harpoon, actually add it into your inventory. And we're going to go back to the mountain hall up at the top of the stairs. And we're going to walk over to the stone wall on the left, just under where we picked up the egg earlier. And you're going to use the broken spear as well as the harpoon on the wall, and we're just going to climb up this. And you can skip this part if you want. I'm going to go ahead and do so. And now that we're up at the top, we're going to pick up the next egg, which is going to be number 13. And that's going to be just to the left here on the stairs at this little golden egg. Make sure you grab that before moving on. And then as you see on the left-hand side, there's this chain hanging down. Zoom in on the chain. And just on the right-hand side are going to be some handcuffs or shackles, depending on what you want to call them. So pick those up. And then we're just going to zoom in on the area on the left hand side, just below where this purple diamond flag is. And then you're going to pick up the hook as well as the magnet. And then exit out of this little area. And exit back once more. And then just to the left of the door in the very back is this little grate with the red eyes peeking out. You want to use the magnet on that grate to grab the little item that's inside. And this will be a hoist switch that we pick up, so make sure you grab it before you leave. And we're going to go back to the upper level using that little doorway that we used earlier. And then once you're up here, zoom in on the left again, just where we picked up the magnet and the little hook. And you're going to put that switch on this little device here. So once it's there, interact with it. And as you can see, the chain is going down. So exit back once, and the chain is now hanging down above this box. So zoom in on the box, and we're going to use the shackles to combine these two little bar pieces here. I'm not exactly sure what to call them. And we're also going to use the hook here to connect everything to the chain. So once that's done, we're going to head back upstairs and go back to the left and use that dial again. And now the chain has lifted the top off of that box, so head back downstairs, zoom in on the box, and just start clicking around. And basically you want to get a crystal, and we can't get the sword as much as you want to, but there is something behind his helmet here. So to take this off, you want to use the lantern and just smash it on his face. And then once that's done, interact with the helmet to take it off. And then pick up the two pieces that were in his eyes. And now we're going to go back upstairs. And because this lid is now finishing off the pathway leading up the stairs, we can now go into the mechanism room, so go ahead and do so. And we're just going to pick up this torch that we see here on the ground. And then open up your inventory, and we're going to zoom in on the torch. And we're going to light it with the flint, so use the flint on the torch. And then just on the left-hand side, barely visible, it's just slightly lit, there's going to be sort of a dwarf statue with a little center that you can zoom in on, so go ahead and do so. And pick up the pliers. And this is a little puddle of oil, so use the torch on the oil to light up the room. And now that we can see, we are going to pick up our next egg, which is going to be on the left-hand side, just to the right of that dwarf statue that we used just a minute ago. So pick up the bronze egg, and that's going to be 14 out of 15, so just one more for that one. And then go ahead and zoom in on the gears across the room. And in the bottom left gear is going to be a little rasp handle, so you want to interact with that twice to actually pick it up. And then use your pliers to grab this coin out of the kind of top-ish left gear, and that's going to be added to your inventory as well. So once you get the coin, exit out of this room, and we're back in the upper level here. So on the right-hand side is going to be another statue that you can zoom in on, so go ahead and do so. And on the center, you're going to place that blue gem that you picked up earlier. And go ahead and pick up the little paper that's in his hand. And when you do, it'll reveal a little coin slot, so use the coins in the coin slot. And as you can see, it zoomed you out, but now that statue is all glowy and shiny, letting you know that there is a hidden object puzzle that you need to complete here, so walk up to it. And as before, we are going to be matching the pieces with the images shown below. I highly recommend just using the hints for this one, as the pieces are a little hard to find. But first you want to grab the match on the bottom left shelf and use it on the candle on the top right shelf. And this will light up everything so that you can actually see it and start collecting everything. It's completely up to you if you want to go along with me, or if you want to skip ahead, I don't mind either way. But yeah, so just go around collecting everything that you can. Okay, and then once all 3 are done, you're going to get the console key, so make sure you interact with it to actually put it in your inventory. And we're going to head back to the mechanism room straight across the way and up the stairs. So now you're going to walk up to the flames just above this little purple banner here with a diamond on it. And in the bottom right corner is going to be a rasp that you need to use the rasp handle on in order to pull it out, so go ahead and do so. And then in the center, you're going to use the console key. Okay, and now this is going to be a quick and easy little puzzle that we're going to do here. So first, you are going to put the door sequence, which was the paper we took off of the statue a minute ago. You're going to use that on the left-hand side, and this will give you the solution to the puzzle. And as you can see, we have a handle on the first one, the second one, and the fourth one, but the third is missing one, so you're actually going to use the metal rasp on that part to complete that. And if we just letter these A, B, C, D for the order that they're in, you're going to hit it A, B, C, D, and then C, B, A, B, C, and A, D. And this will complete this little puzzle. And we're just going to go back twice, so we're back downstairs. And as you can see, this room across the way is now open, so go ahead and go through the newly opened door. And you can skip this cutscene if you want, it's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and do so. And before we move forward, we're just going to grab a coin really quick, and that's going to be on the right pillar over here. But when you interact with it, just a heads up, it might just kind of make you freeze the water first. Yeah, it's going to do that. It doesn't matter if that happens first, you're going to have to do that anyways. So wait for your hand to move. Alright, so pick up the coin, and if you haven't done so, just interact with the water to freeze it as it just showed. And then you're going to zoom in on the rock that is behind the left-hand pillar, these little spikes sticking out, and just keep clicking around until you get all 4 items. So we have a crowbar, a belt, and then the little box. So 2 belts, a crowbar, and a box. So once you have those, you want to interact with the planks in the water just to the left of the right pillar. And you're going to use the crowbar here to get the wooden planks. There you go, and pick those up. And open up your inventory and zoom in on the boards with nails, which were the planks you just picked up. And you're actually going to use the belt with these. And that's going to give you some cleats. So using the stairs across the little waterway, you're going to use the makeshift cleats to make it over there. And just walk up the stairs. And then pick up the compass. And in your inventory, you want to zoom in on the trick box. And then use the compass with the trick box. And you want to hit the symbols in order to match the numbers on the compass. So it's going to be, I guess, the top left, the bottom right, the bottom left, and the top right. And that's going to give you the little hand key that we need to open up this little book here. So go ahead and use that on the lock. And we're going to do some more find the little symbol puzzles before moving on. So once this is open, we're going to look for the symbol that is on the right hand side, and it's going to be this little rune symbol here. So first, on the top right, we're going to interact with the bricks, and we're going to remove one, which is going to reveal the rune. And then on the left-hand side, interact with the banner, and that's going to show the second one. And then in the center of the three people, elves, all sorts of them, is going to be the third symbol that we need to pick up. So go ahead and skip the next cutscene, hit X to continue, and now we're going to find a little peacekeeper emblem of sorts. So at the very top of the staff here is going to be the first one. Then interact with the bottom left face to reveal the second one, and then the bottom right face to reveal the third one. And go ahead and skip this little part as well, hit X to continue. And now we're looking for a sword and arrow kind of cross of sorts. So at the very top of this little structure in the picture, that's going to be the first one. And then in the top left, you're going to interact with the leaves, and that's going to be the second one. And then interact with the middle rock on the steps leading up to the little emblem, and that's going to reveal the third one.
The altar.
And go ahead and skip this little cutscene and hit X to continue, and just pick up the piece of paper on the right-hand side. And then interact with the stairs in front of you and use the stair scroll. And a little pathway is going to open up that's going to lead us to the Chamber of Dwarves, so go ahead and go up. And as before we do anything, we're going to grab a coin. All the way on the right hand side, just above the fireplace looking thing, is going to be coin number 18. So we only have 2 more after this. And just below that is a pile of junk that you can zoom in on, so go ahead and do so. And you're just going to pick up this little handle right here. And that's all we can do for now. So back out, and then zoom in on the statue head. And there's going to be a little key just between his eyes here. It's a little hard to see, but it's a little octagon key of sorts. So once you have that, exit out. And then you're going to zoom in on the small statue just to the left of the big statue head. So zoom in on there, and you're going to pick up this little pole stick thing. I'm not really sure what to call half this stuff. So once you have that little pole, back out, and then we're going to exit left to the Chamber of Goblins. And before we do anything, we're going to grab our 19th coin. And as you can see, there's 2 goblin statues in the back. The left one is holding the coin in his hands, so make sure you grab that before we go anywhere. And let's just zoom in on the bottom of the central pillar. And as you can see, we have some gears and a chain underneath, so pick up the chain. And then just to the left of the gears is a little box that is going to match that key you picked up earlier. So use the octagon key in the little slot. And that will start the gears moving. And out will pop a sickle. So pick up the sickle, and you're actually going to pick up the box as well and just move it over to the right side of the room. And now you can reach the shelf up here. So just above this little gear golden flag are some pliers. So zoom in to there, pick up the pliers, then pick up the connector device. And we're just going to walk up to the wheel on the left-hand side and use the pliers to cut the wire here. And now we need to do a couple of things here. First, we need to move a lot of the junk out of the way, but there are some tools that we need to keep an eye out for. Let's see, move the saw. Okay, when you get the saw, it's going to be this hand saw. You're going to use it on the plank just to the left, the one that is leaning on the rocks. So you move the boot, move the box, move the wine. Then once you find this little hook, you're going to use it directly above it to this little item that's in the flowers. This is like a pick item of sort, so once that's free, grab it and put it on the rocks just to the left. And you're going to move some more items around until you can get to the hammer. So once you have the hammer, use it on the pick, and this is going to break the rock. And then pick up the little device that falls from the wheel. Okay, and when the item falls, we're gonna go ahead and combine some stuff in our inventory. So first you're gonna zoom in on the staff, and you're gonna combine that with the sickle to get a nice little reaching device. And then with your inventory still open, you're gonna interact with the hoist, and you're gonna use the hoist handle on this little part. And be sure to interact with it so it actually gets added to your inventory. And we're done with this room for now, so go ahead and back out. And interact with the statue just to the left of the big head statue in the center. And you're going to use the hoist on this little, well, it is a little statue, but we can't actually move it just yet. So instead, over to the left is this torch. Use the sickle with the torch, and we're going to get that little connector up on the top of it. And now open up your inventory, and you're going to zoom in on the chain, and use the connectors on the chain. And now we're going to use the chain with connectors on the pile of junk over on the right hand side. And that's going to automatically connect it to the small statue on the left. And when it does, zoom in on that small statue and now interact with the statue to actually knock it over. And that will reveal another hidden object puzzle where the junk just was. So as you can see, it's all shiny. So walk up to it and we will complete this one. And for this, we need to find the 12 stars available in the image. So we're just going to go from right to left. And starting with the banner on the right-hand side with the diamond, interact with it to move it, and then pick up the star. Then just over to the left, interact with the shell, grab the star behind it. And then the dresser that the shell is on, interact with the bug. And there's a star behind that. And on the center drawer is a little leaf outline. Interact with the outline, and there's going to be a piece just behind it. And keep going left and interact with the map, and there's going to be a piece behind that. And then up on the top left is a lizard. Interact with the lizard and grab the piece that was behind that one. And then interact with the sword just below where the lizard was and pick up that piece. And then on the shield just below the sword, interact with the lion head, and that's going to reveal the next piece. And just to the right of the shield is this little doll thing. Interact with that to reveal the next one. And then just to the right of the doll is this little fan. Interact with that to reveal the next piece. And then interact with this little box with the sun on top of it to open it up. And that's going to reveal the next piece. And then the final one is just to the right of the box. So interact with the axe to move it out of the way, and then interact with the star, and this will finish this little puzzle. And now we can go right to the Chamber of Humans, so go ahead and do so. And first and foremost, we're going to grab our last coin available, and that's going to be up on the top, just above the throne, on this little shield up here, so make sure you grab that. And that's going to be the final collectible of this entire game, so you don't have to worry about those anymore. And once you do have that, go ahead and interact with the throne. And while you're here, go ahead and pick up the cloth that is on the top of the throne, as well as the clock hand that is just below it. And that's all we can really do right here. So back out of here and out of this room. And we're going to go back left to the Chamber of Goblins. And on the left-hand side, you're going to see this waterfall. Go ahead and use the cloth with the waterfall, and that'll give us a wet cloth. And exit out of this room, and we're going to go back to the right to the Chamber of Humans. And go ahead and zoom in on the clock on the right-hand side wall, just to the left of where that apple painting is. And just below the apple painting is an incredibly dirty slab here that you're going to use the wet cloth to clean off. So go ahead and do so. And when you do, those symbols will light up one at a time. And basically here you need to match the pattern that it just showed. I know it was kind of quick, but it's going to be the same pattern for everybody. So it's going to be the center, the first, the fourth, the fifth, and the second. So once you do that, the apple painting will disappear and an apple will be behind it. So go ahead and pick up the apple and exit out of the clock. And now interact with the window in the back right hand corner and interact with the spider web to get a friendly little spider coming down your way. And he's going to ask you for an apple, which you just so happen to pick up, so give him the apple. And he'll go down a little bit, and as soon as you can, pick up the clock hand in the top right hand side of the web. There we go. And now we have 2 clock hands, so go ahead and interact with zoom in on the clock again, and you're just going to put both clock hands on the clock. 1, 2. And as you can see, it has started spinning, and then once it opens, pick up the gear that's in the center, and now we have 2 out of 2 gears, so from here, you're going to exit out. And we're going to head over to the left, which is the Chamber of Goblins, and interact with the center pillar where we saw those gears earlier, and just use the gears on the open panel, and this will get those spinning again. There we go, and obviously you can see the little center pillar has lowered down a little bit, so once it has, pick up the red gem, as well as the green gem on top of it. And then exit out of this room, and we're going to go back right to the Chamber of Humans. And from here, zoom in on the throne, and you're going to use that red gem on the top of the throne. And as you can see, it is turned all nice and shiny, and this is going to be one of the last hidden object puzzles that we have to do. So walk up to it, and we're going to solve this really quick. And as you can see, it is a list of items that we need to get again. Some of them are hidden, some of them are not, so we're just gonna get this going. So to get the horse chest figurine, you're gonna move this mirror just to the left of the treasure chest here, as well as the red heart ruby. And there's your little horse piece, and the pawn piece is just above it. And then the wooden stick is just gonna be this stick right in front of the little treasure chest. Blah. And then the toy cannon is gonna be in the top right, on this little blue cloth up here, so interact with that. And the horseman is going to be just below where that cannon was. It looks more like a wolf, if anything, but this is the little horseman, so go ahead and grab that. And then the horse toy is on the lower left side of the area. It's got the little wheels on it, so go ahead and pick that up. And then the green eye is actually inside of the treasure chest, so we're going to get that one last. So next is going to be the tricycle, which is going to be on the right hand side. And then the green dragon is going to be front and center, really hard to miss, this green toy right here. So next is going to be the rabbit, which is going to be on the left hand side, just below this little red cloth here. And then the sun, we need to do a little 2-part for it. On this piece of paper on the treasure chest itself, interact with it to move the cloud over. And then on the left-hand side is this little yellow pencil. Pick that up and use it on the drawing, and that will finish off the sun. So interact with the sun once it's down. And now the fire is not your textbook definition fire. It's just this yellow piece on the right-hand side, just to the left of the purple crystals. So go ahead and grab that. And now the green eye is the last item we need. So now that that paper is gone, you'll see that this little emblem device has appeared underneath it, but don't pick that up just yet. First, we need to clear off the front. So interact with this little cup here. And now you can pick up that little key, put it on the front of the chest. And then inside is the green eye. So go ahead and pick that up. And make sure you interact with it to actually put it inside your inventory. So exit out of this room, zoom in on the center little statue head thing, and we're going to place the green gems in the eyes. And this is going to open up a nice little area going to the sacred altar, so go ahead and do so. And you can skip this little cutscene. Alright, so once you arrive, before we do anything, we are going to pick up the last egg of the game, and that's going to be on the right-hand side. just to the right of where your little fine feather friend is hanging, and it's going to be this little brown one. So make sure you grab that before moving on, and that's going to pop 2 trophies for you, both for collecting things. So once you have that, walk up to the man on the left, and you can go ahead and skip his little dialogue, but he's going to give you a rune puzzle like we finished earlier in the game. And as before, you need to click the rune that does not have any matching symbols on any of the runes on your opponent's side. And you're just going to do this a couple of times.
Why won't you give up? Why won't you give up? You honest.
And you can skip this little cutscene. And then pick up the staff that is in the center of the walkway here. And this is a little memory puzzle that you need to complete. Basically, you need to reveal 1 cloud at a time and match the symbols that are behind it. You can kind of see behind the clouds themselves, so it's not too difficult to match them up even if you haven't seen them yet. And again, there's no penalty for getting this wrong. Just take your time with it if you need to. Okay, so that wasn't it. And that's going to be random for everybody. It's not going to be the same each time. But once you have that, you need to complete the puzzle here. So just place the rune pieces down where you think they are going to belong. And you can rotate the pieces with square if you need to. Okay, and this will actually finish up the game, and the last of the trophies are going to start unlocking here, as well as the platinum. You can finish off the story if you want. It doesn't really matter. It's completely up to you. I'm just going to go ahead and skip it because that's my life and that's what I do. So whatever you decide. Hopefully that all worked out for you guys and you got your platinum. And again, it didn't take too long, maybe 2, 3, 4 hours tops, so that's not too bad. Thank you all for watching, and a massive thank you again to The Mind is a City for letting me use her guide for this video. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody else watching this does as well. And that'll pretty much wrap this up for now. So again, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time.